but to give enough respect going out to the brothers from the nation. Oh, you know, again, look at extended time, but the information was worth it. Hamid's hot seat, as I've been pointed out. I come from the CM school, you know, school of knowledge. Easy, my brother. Hold tight, the commissioner inside of the place. Commissioner, say good morning to the people, them now.
Morning!
Yep, that was definitely commissioner. Once again, I've got to say many thanks out to all of you locked in this morning and tuned into Muhammad's hot seat. You know, already, I mean, you know, education is the thing at the end of the day. Cause so, you know, at the end of you take it in, you deal with it, and you know, if there's something you don't agree with or you don't too sure about, you pick up the phone, you phone the brothers, and if him don't have the answer, him can find somebody who do have the answer. All right? Cause so it got already. Anyway, London Town. Well, we was going to do the discussion about the Black Awareness Day, but we feel that we need a few more the educational presenters inside the place so that we can get a full feedback on what's taken place. So, you know, usual thing, you know, it goes already London Town. Get a phone call, dial in and make we know the sound check and everything, Chris, and we just proceed from there. 0958 504 906. Once again, it's 0958 504 906. You know, we're going to link it in and, you know, take it from there. So you just kick back and locked to the big one, Genesis 91.6. Alongside the driver, also the commission inside the place. OG Briggs should be inside the house, but, you know, we have to wait until we're going London Town. Anyway, kick back and relax, and we'll catch you back after this.
Be the People's Talk Show, and you know how it goes. Sorry, we've run a bit late today, but we've been extremely busy, you know, and I hope that you've enjoyed what Simon Muhammad has, you know, given us in terms of information, playing the nation tapes, and just listening to some hardcore black people dealing with it. Okay, as you heard Brother Driver say, I am in here as well. The two of us, side by side. In fact, I think I might be leaving a bit early, you know. It's been a very busy weekend. So we'll have our Brother Driver in here just browsing it up, London Town. And the OG Briggy. OG, if you're out there on the road, what you are saying? Good morning. He should be in here soon, London Town. Well, as you all know, it is the People's Talk Show. And yes, we do have an agenda, but if there is anything that you all would like to bring to our attention, anything you want London Town to hear or to know, anything you think is relevant, you give us a call. You know that number, 0958 504 906. Anyhow, I'd like to talk about a couple of things personally, you know, and see what you all have got to say. Number one, now, boy, oh boy, I've got to say this. Top of my agenda, personally, we had, in the last 2 weeks and whatever, we had Zaire, you know, Zaire. We had war in Zaire, and it reverted back to being called the People's Republic of Congo. This week now, it's Sierra Leone's turn. I'm going to take this call and then we'll go back into it. Good morning, you're in tune to Genesis 91.6 FM. What's your name and from where are you calling? Okay, we lost that call. London Town. As I said to you, we just done have this, all of these war and what my boy's name got run out of Zaire, okay? And everything's been sorted and it's gone back to the People's Republic of Congo. Now, we have Sierra Leone, which is another West African state. Now, I want to know what's going on. As soon as this boy from America left England, the same day, war broke out in South Africa. You know, some little mercenary business going on. We're going to take this call. Good morning, you're in tune to Genesis 91.6 FM. What's your name and from where are you calling, please?
Hello, is that Kweku?
Sorry?
Kweku.
One love?
Yeah, man, me dreadlocks in the motor barrack or something, you know?
Yes, Bridget.
The tape. They done the tape?
Muta Baroko?
Yeah.
Nah, Bridget, who is it that's supposed to do the tape for you?
The Kweku.
Kweku?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that, Bridget, but I think what you'd have to do is phone back after the show, okay? And we'll try and sort it out for you.
Okay.
All right, Bridget?
Yes, I.
One love.
Yes, I.
Yes, London Town. As I said, you know the number, 0958 504 906. Now, this brother from, oh, well, I'm not going to call him brother, this guy from America that runs America, this mafiosi, bad boy,
came here this week, had a talk with this badder boy that's down here running things in England, and lo and behold, by the time he get back on the plane to fly out, war has broken out in Africa yet again. You know, now no one's saying who the people are that's overthrowing, or what the name of the general is, or whoever that's up in the front of it. You know what? I got a feeling it's you see them Americans and the English, you know, because Sierra Leone has got a beautiful wealth as far as diamonds and other minerals are concerned. It's one of the richest parts of West as far as diamonds and minerals are concerned. They've had 4 such events like this, 4 what they call coups, all right? And this one, you know, it's just so blatant. It's in your face. These 2 boys meet, and at the same time, as soon as they finished, it's like someone must have phoned up Africa and said to whatever mercenaries they got down there, okay, it's all on. England says yep, America says yep, let's deal with it. And before you know what, bam, you got a war, genocide, people running, going on again in the west of Africa. It's a joke. And if you all got any information on it, if you'd like to say anything on it, then let us know. We need to know. Yeah, London town. That was the first thing that we want to go on to. Okay? Now, as I said to you, Africa is of great importance to many of you out there. So, what do you think about it? Why is it happening? How comes Congo has just freed themselves, and now in Sierra Leone we've got murder going on? And if you heard a lot of these, what they call expats that came back, they said, oh, the people came into the houses, they smashed everything, they looted everything, and what they didn't want, they just smashed to pieces. You know, this was all of the expats talking about what was going on. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Some people say, yep, they're driving the white man out of Africa completely. It needs to be done. What do you say? It does look like there's some political, what would you say, political pandering going on. You know, someone's pulling some strings to get things done. Give us a call, London Town, 0958504 Now, we're going to stick with Africa. I would also like to deal with all of us now here in a diaspora, born in the West Indies or born in, unfortunately, in these cold climates. Let's talk about this particular thing. And I know it's a bit taboo, it's a bit don't want to know, but, you know, a few years ago, London Town, I was in a car, all right, doing a bit of cabin. You know how it goes sometimes, trying to make a bit of change. And I made the mistake of picking up a Nigerian brother, having him on the front seat, and on the back seat, because I had to share they wanted to share the cab, I picked up a Yardi brother, okay? Now, the Yardi brother and the Nigerian brother got about 5 yards down the road in my car, and they started quarreling and fighting in my car. One telling one, you're a free slave, the other telling the other one, you're this and you're that. So, London Town, I want you to talk today and reveal what the real feelings are. There's been a lot of, in the past, confrontation, you know, between those of the diaspora, okay, and those of indigenous Africa, okay? Now, we've heard it said, Africans will look at West Indians and say, you all are ex-slaves, you're son of slaves, you're this, you're that, you're the second and the third, you're beneath us. West Indians will look at Africans and say, you all sold us, you all this, you all that, but. Now, I know many of you out there is thinking this might be very negative, but these conversations are still going on in our community. You will still hear people say they're not African, that they don't want nothing to do with Africa. You will still hear Africans say those West Indians are on a lower level, they're low life, and they're free slaves, and they don't represent us. What have we got to say, London Town? We've always talking about the unity in the community, and perhaps we should be looking at these issues because they're very, very taboo, and they're very, you know, when you touch them, it's like a raw nerve. But we need to know, you know, what do you all feel on that? We have a live link, we're going to take that. And before I even take the call, I'm going to say thanks for checking the phone line for us, whoever it is. Good morning, you're in tune to Genesis 91.6 FM. What's your name and from where are you calling, please?
Lion from South London.
Yes, Bridget.
That is divide and rule. Fool them and rule them.
Fool them and rule them.
Yes, I.
Yeah, Bridget, for real.
All of them are fool.
So, but brethren, what would you say? Because there's still a lot of black people out there that's going through them little stupid arguments.
Yeah, because them fools. You understand?
Yeah.
From the very first day the white man take them out of Africa, right?
Yes.
Says to them, your brothers in Africa don't want you.
Yes.
And he went back to Africa and told them that those in the
diaspora.
In the diaspora don't want them either.
Okay.
The white man was the only link of communication between the two of them.
Yeah, and he just...
You understand?
Yes, brethren.
He put one against the other one.
For
right?
real, yes.
And they're still in darkness. 500 years now. You understand?
Yeah.
They're still fools, man. Fool them and rule them. That's why white man could go in Africa and 4 million rule 22 million. You understand?
All right, brother. So let me ask you a question. So,
yes, Father.
Since all the information that's come out into the light over the last X amount of years and whatever, and like we as black people, we know certain things that we were told from a long time weren't the correct information. Even though we know that why do you feel so? We've got our own out there still thinking in those negative ways, even though they've got the information in front of them.
Yeah, because they're still in darkness and they believe it's better for them to be there, right? They don't know no better. You understand?
So what?
Brainwashing. You don't take like, my father should have sit me down and teach me that, And him never teach me that. You understand?
Yeah.
We should have sit down and teach our children. My father should have teach me that, and me should have teach my children that. Because that is not a joke. 400 years is not a joke business, You understand? My father never sit me down and teach me that because I never did know. So it's going to take a good while for people to, come out of this bondage, man. It's going to take a good while. Personally, I figure more or less people are starting to know now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People are, because all these talk shows they're doing, yeah? People are starting to get educated and all, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right, so...
But it's going to take a good while for people to come out of that, man.
All right, because I noticed a little while ago you said your father never sit you down and teach you. All right, we don't know that gone bad, so we directly have to move on and see what we can do to improve the situation that we're in. So, what advice or suggestion could you give to London Town on this morning?
About what?
About how we can improve the situation, because, obviously we're black, we're all black, but at the end of the day we're still divided.
We're still divided, yeah, because them teach we say anything black is evil. Yeah? Anything black is worth nothing. And anything white is good. That's why them call them red self-white. You understand?
I hear you, brother, I hear you.
So, if a black man if a black man stand up and tell you, say, well, Africa is this and that, and white man stand up and show you pictures of war and famine and disease and all them things there, you don't want to relate with the African. You forget that the problem of, the famine and disease and war is created by the same one that tells you that,
Yes, brother, I hear you.
The same white man create the war and create the hate and famine and disease. How come Zaire is the richest country on this earth? And they don't even have a decent hospital for people. How come?
Well, first things first...
How come this country don't have no gold mines and them have, X amount of gold? How come? We have the gold, don't it?
Yeah, for real.
We have the gold, we have the diamond, we have the timber. But if you come up to England, them have it more than we. How come?
Yeah, we have it, but we don't control it. There's a difference.
Why is that? Why don't we control that?
Well, then obviously, brother, we have to look to see who is in the position, who is at the top controlling it. You see, and then we have to take it from there, find out how we can get that, which is ours, back to our people. Yeah. Instead of just standing by and watching everything just get taken away from us right underneath our nose.
That's why I tell you about divide and rule thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of this thing, CIA and all them thing there, those people are the criminals. Them there to destabilize countries, right? They will destabilize you. Bad, so that they can come in and exploit. You know what I'm saying? If you have a progressive leader in any, like Africa or wherever, right, and take these people in and, turn their people against the leader that is more progressive, You understand?
Yeah, Bridget, we hear that. Yes, Bridging, but at the same time, I hear everything that you're saying, but it does seem in light, and again, on last week's show, we was discussing Ghana and the discovery of gold. Yeah. And now, all of a sudden, all around Ghana, all of the other countries, or now two, near Ghana, are in kind of civil war. Yeah. So it does look like whoever is orchestrating this is trying to make their way towards Ghana or create a crisis situation near the borders of Ghana. So it's the same thing again, you know, because of this. Well, to me personally, this is why I want to speak about it, because it does appear these two boys at their meeting this week stopped the whole of West End, locked it off, and at their talk. And by the time the American one is on his way back home on the plane, war has broken out. Yeah. You know? So it just seems it's just too coincidental, as Driver would say.
Economically, it's in their interest in Africa.
Yeah, it is their interest.
Country is beneficial to the Europeans, you know.
For real, and one of the things
in their benefit to have war and everything in Africa, because when you check it, it's only the richest, the richest and the richest countries that you have all of these things, you know, war and famine. And why is that?
Yeah, because well, from my opinion, the conglomerates that control the mining industries, etc., that control billions of pounds, they destabilize the countries.
They have, yeah.
You know, now,
time, you know what them do? Them use for your own black man to do it, you know.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Your own black man to do it, man. The front soldiers are black people.
Yeah, give them a little bit of money and they'll do it, you know. But the other thing, Bridging, other thing what I wanted to ask you about, right? Because you see on the diasporan Africans and the indigenous African reasoning, you lean very heavily on the side of us West Indians not being taught our African roots and culture, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, what about the indigenous Africans that come here and then they also haven't, because I've even been told by Africans, indigenous Africans, Nigerians, etc., that you're not free, you're the son of a slave.
Because them fool.
Okay, so they've been like fooled the same way we have by the white man.
Of course, we are all victims in our brethren. Because when you read one of them things, right? I can't remember the man's one of the slave owners. I don't remember his name.
Willie Lynch.
Right?
Willie Lynch.
Yeah. He did have a speech.
Yeah, Bridget, that's right.
How to control the slaves, right?
Yeah, Genesis is always playing it.
And that is still working till today.
Yeah.
They put the light skin against the dark skin.
Yeah, the man against the woman.
Yeah?
Yeah,
man, they've done that for years and years and years. They put brothers against brothers. A black man stand up and say, I'll tell you something, right? One of my bridge in a dreadlocks, he stand up and say, the one African, that, fuck you African, sorry for the language.
Yes, please, remember, Bridget, this is a people, it's, you know, we've got children and family.
But I'm just trying to quote exactly
what he said. You can give us the first letters of any words like that and we'll pick it up.
Okay. Him say, you African ape, you know?
Yeah.
And that him say, that was a dreadlocks.
Yeah, well.
And he said that in front of white people.
Well, you see?
And him say, you African apes. And look upon himself and say, dark.
Yeah.
You understand? That's how fool people are.
Yeah, that dreadlocks needs trimming.
Well, that's how foolish he is. Right? He have the identity. Because Africa is not a country, you know. It's African, it's identity.
That's right.
As long as you have that identity, regardless to which part of the earth you're born, there is one.
For real.
Because people are so foolish, they don't realize
that we're all one.
They don't realize that them is African. Them feel say, well, African is something and something, you know?
Yes, Bridget.
Man from far, or man from the hills in Africa, or something like that, right? But the man don't check himself as an African, you know?
For real.
So in that sense, he's just exposing how foolish he is.
Okay, Bridget, what more can we do than what we are doing presently to improve the relationship between, I think, we now that was taken out of Africa have got a problem because, as he stated, there's many West Indian or what you call, what I'm not going to call them, but what people...
I'm going to see them as West Indian, man.
No, I'm not even going to say that. I was going to say what people might call black British, okay?
Yeah.
There's many of them that have just got such a terrible mentality towards Africa and anything African. What can we do now? All right, what would you suggest? You know, apart from like exposing them more to Africa and teaching them, you know, because at the same time you've got many people that even though they may be blacker than black, but nothing to do with Africa at all.
You know what they have to do?
Yes.
They have to take a stance. They have to step back and look at, you know, on the salesmen. Because the white man always show you that they don't want you, you know. The
That's right.
Don't want you. At least to whatever state they put you through.
Yes.
Like your black British, all of them things is denomination, right?
Just to divide us.
That's segregation.
That's right.
Put you against your own brother. Yeah?
Yes, Bridget.
Them things, denomination is just lead up to segregate people if you say you're better than that.
Okay.
And look down on the other one, yeah?
Okay.
But, you know, they're still telling you that you're still a nigger. They don't like you.
Okay, Bridget.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They don't want you anywhere.
Yeah.
So you have to say, well,
where are we gonna go?
They don't like us.
Yeah.
And they're telling me that I'm this and I'm that. You know?
Okay,
Bridget. And they're making you hate your brothers and all that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So what you have to say is like, look, you know, look. What the man say, man? Malcolm X. You have self. You have to, you know, check yourself.
Okay.
And your kind. That's what you have to do, you know.
All right, Bridget. Thanks very much for that.
Yes, I.
Yeah?
Every
and
time,
you keep it locked, okay?
Give thanks, man.
One love. Yes, London Town, we've got our first call of the morning, and give thanks, enough respect for that call, Bridget. And remember, it's 0958-504-906. Now, there is something else on the agenda, and as you know, it's the People's Talk Show, so anything you want to talk about, just phone us.
Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, sir. My name's Leroy Sterling. I'm phoning from Brixton. I just really want to comment on our division. Yeah?
Okay, go ahead, Leroy.
I need to look at it from many, many angles, yeah? Like, that it's not just the continent and the so-called West Indies is divided. Even within, we're so divided, you know?
Yeah.
When I was in Africa, I was really surprised to see how much division there was. You know, how you had one country that was colonized by France, next to a country that was colonized by England. They wouldn't talk of each other in a good way, Francophone and Anglophone arguments.
Yeah.
You know, based on just foolishness, you know. Then you come to the West Indies, and you got small island, big island, just based on foolishness. You know, because it was a white man who divided those countries in Africa, and it was a white man who dropped us off at the islands and in the Americas. So, you know, in many respects, we never had much to do with it at all. You know, we didn't have much to do with the factor of that. It was him, the white man, who brought the decision to enslave us. We were just kind of like people who fell in, as we're still falling in today, still in drugs in our community. You know, we're just falling into the
same trap. Yeah.
Into the trap, yes, sir. You know, under those traps, you know, all of us are failing. All of us are in hell. You know, like we see Mobutu from Zaire. Yes, he had 30 years, but look at him now.
That's
you know, he's in trouble. So the time runs out soon, you know. I'd like to know on 2 points. Okay. Many of us, we want to curse this island, that country, Francophone, Anglophone, small island, big island, but we want to claim the leader in there. You understand what I'm saying, brother?
Yeah, yeah.
Many, they want to come like curse Jamaica, but they want to claim Marcus Garvey. They want to curse Africa, but they want to claim Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela. You know, so we see that, you know, in truth, we're just acting like small fry.
Yeah, that's right, because we judge the whole country.
We can't claim the leaders, you know, of all, around the diaspora and on the continent, and not claim the people. You know, you can't. Yeah. But to end up, you know, I know that the main thing that's actually causing those divisions and keeping us in this position is our fear. Our fear of actually the true enemy. We'd rather kind of like argue amongst ourselves because we don't actually want to go to war with the white man.
For real, brother, for real.
You know? That's it, simply, brother.
All right,
you
brother.
Know? You look after, sir.
Yeah, man, enough respect for that call, yeah?
Bye.
All right, peace. Yes, London Town, Leroy hit it right on the head. It's a lot easier to blame ourselves and attack each other than to deal with the real enemy. Okay, we're going to take this next call. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Selassie the First, Rastafari. It's only him alone can really cleanse this earth still, you know.
Okay, brother. What's your name, brother? Where you calling from?
Chris, my name.
And where you calling from, blood?
New Cross.
All right, got you.
Yes, what I'm going to say still, all the talk we talk about doing this and doing it as a black race still, it's only Rastafari can really cleanse this still, you know. So we can do the little what we say we can do still. But to the end of it, it's only Rastafari can really cleanse this earth. And as we can see, I just Bible prophecy I fulfill right now.
Bridging.
Understand? Yeah.
Okay, Bridging, let me ask a question now, because you've got many people out here that believe there's a whole heap of us that's sitting down waiting for this pie in the sky savior to come out of the sky and save us all. And we are just sitting there waiting and not actually doing anything about it. So what would what do you suggest, or do you know of that for yourself? Because personally, you know, I'd be lying if I say I don't know people that are not prepared to work to change in anything. They're just waiting on the Creator to come and just solve all the problems of the world and make us, you know.
All we have to do is chant down God, man, and everything will happen.
Okay.
We know that there is no God and no sky, right? Like what them teach we still. You understand?
Yeah, but Bridget,
everybody to come to know us, boy, is Jah Rastafari, is God Almighty who created this whole universe.
Look how long we've been chanting that, Bridget, and the situation is getting worse, not better.
But it's just Bible prophecy to fulfill right now. Yeah. It's revelation revealing itself, because as you see, everything that's about us out right in the open right now. Even the beast himself, it's revealed right now, because the higher the monkey climb, the more I'm exposed, isn't it?
Yeah,
So everything right now is just Bible prophecy they fulfill. So we, as a black race, we know why. I true enough of it that this guy is God, you know. And I curse His Majesty, and that's why enough things happen to even we own black people, you know. We have to come to know, say, a Jah Rastafari, a God, and not like what them a teach with, because one thing I want to make the people them know in London, over Blackfriars Road, I think I 149 Blackfriars Road, in the museum there, enough artifacts them have in there with them when the British Army invaded Ethiopia in 1868. And enough gold things, enough artifacts from the Bible, enough pictures in the books them where them take where they show black people say Christ a black man, God a black man. You understand? All them things where them take from Africa and have over here in England and hide in even Germany, the whole Ku Klux Klan thing. We feel know, boy, not until we come to ourselves and know, say, boy, the true God who created this universe. It's not this blue-eyed, blonde-haired man with them talk about all these years. Because since me even come to London, me realize that a Rastafari is God, you know. Me born and grew up Jamaica still, you know, amongst Rasta, you know. And never get this type of influence until me come to London.
All right, brother, let me ask you a question. So, at the bottom line, what is your suggestion for us as black people?
We must all come to know and love Rastafari and serve him. That me I tell every black people out there, so.
What, so how about...
We must unite, and if I come to know Rastafari and accept him as a personal savior, as a black messiah, let me tell him, man, everything will all right until him come to return and destroy this, because just have to go down, you know. When we right now, have to go down, you know, Babylon this now, the belly, you know. This have to go down. All of the 666 them have to go down, and then Shadow restore them thing again, because if you read Revelation.
All right, brother, so let me ask you a question. There's people out there who's listening to this show. Now, obviously, they're not going to agree with everything that you got to say, because...
That me I try to tell you, because...
Right, but hear me I say, brother.
Yeah.
Directly at the end of the day, me personally, I am not going to wait around for nobody.
No, you're not going to wait around for God to everything. Try your best and God will do the rest, but as long as you get closer to God, the better things will be for you.
Yeah, but myself personally, the greater works at the end of the day is within ourselves. We have to feel ourselves straight first. You don't feel so?
Yeah, of course, definitely. But still, after days a creator, you know, you can't do it without God, nothing, a brethren.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying everybody if you acknowledge the creator. There's no problem with that. But at the end of the day, the creator didn't put us into the situation that we're in now. We allowed this to happen. So right now, we have to rectify it.
No, listen, man. You see now the Bible, brethren, it shows that we're going on 400 years of slavery, you know, so nothing new to I and I still, you know, because the Bible done. The Bible is the guideline of God put us for, you know. Seeing so, although they might have tampered with and do them, still, the truth still exists in the Bible. And if a man read Numbers 6, he must sister boy, Christ at the head of the Nazarene, and who are the Nazarene? The Nazarene, them are Rasta people, them. Because if you not go, as a black man, if you not come here and make a hair grow, because the Nazarene vows if you take a vow to the Lord, you know. I mean, you not come here, you not cut it, you not do nothing to it. So tell me as a black man now, if you grow your hair and never, what do it look like?
Yeah, brethren, I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, half of what's going down and the problems that's taking place is due to us, and it's common sense at the end of the day.
The Bible
which is
in the last days, brethren, a Bible prophecy are fulfilling. It's not only said the white man I kill white man, and black man I kill black man. Everybody I kill everybody, you know. And the Bible prophecies are fulfilling.
right, and why is all this killing taking place?
You know, as we said here, is the Bible prophecy are fulfilled because rumors of war. Here His Majesty said, this song about Malice about until the philosophy we show one race superior and the next one inferior. It's gonna be war.
Alright, Bridget.
You going now, Bridget. You need glasses or contact lens or bionic. I have to see what they're going now. A Bible prophecy are fulfilled. We're in a slavery over 400 and odd years. And I just the end of everything now. We just have time.
Alright.
The judge just intervene.
Alright, listen. Alright, brother, let's move on. You said the other prophecy are fulfilled. Alright, we see the prophecy taking place. What are we doing about it?
The prophecy.
Everything that's taking place, we see. You said there's the prophecies there saying this, and this is going to take place, but yet we're sitting back and letting things take place, even though we've got the information in front of us. So what are we to do?
What are we to do? Get closer to God, Rastafari. You understand? For the man is a ras. I'm not talking about them not trading. I'm not talking about ras because the word ras is a very personal name, you know, for God, you know. We take on to ourselves, you know, because we is a servant of Rastafari, see? So we have to take on the name and follow him and live up to what him so we live up to. So as long as we do what just so we do. You see the true Rasta man, I'm not talking about the man who run him have all type of style like a Mac them a Mac Dread. Because I know within myself, come the Bible says God is a Rasta and God is a man. And nobody can take that out of my head. They could have put a gun to my head right now and shot me in the head. I still that me answer because it's in the Bible. And Revelation 1 and verse 14 show you about the color of God's feet. It's like brass burning in a furnace. And Bridget, if you burn brass in a furnace, what color? If you burn brass in a fire, what color is going to come out to be?
Yeah, Bridget, you know what I'm saying? You answer the question yourself. All my city is at the end of the day, alright, same as a black man. Then what?
Eh?
Then what? What we do from this? Alright, it's a black man. Everybody knows it's a black man.
People are stray because they believe in a different concept of God, and the true concept of God are shown in Revelation 1 verse 14.
Brethren, it must enough people know a black man, and them still are going with the way them are going, so...
They know tribulation and reach them, and that's why they say all next black man or kill a black man, because they don't know themselves, because we respect God and accept God as a personal savior. You will have enough good things come to you. You can't do bad things and say you deal with God. You have to do hopeful, living things that God says you have to do on God's spirit to flow in a man. When I say a black man go out there and kill a next black man, and I say, boy, the black man don't really respect himself. But you don't know better. Then I listen to when Rastaman attack them, because all these years Rastaman even a preach and teach to I, and in the list until me come and Britain now, me come really realize say, what the people them talk for all these years is the truth. And that Babylon fight against. You understand?
Well, Brethren, all you see at the end of the day, all me really want from you is for directly one way for everybody to go forward and unite and make sure we prepare ourselves for what is to come.
If every man come under the regime of Rastafari, things will better for we. Because see, Rasta will or Rasta people is a different way how a Babylon system live. Because what Rasta people do are just take what themselves and although them in the representation of them just do the things where Rastafari for them to do. They not do what Babylon for them to do, and the brainwash application we get out of 3 years.
All right.
So the solution we are giving out to London right now, and everybody will listen, is for them to get to know Rastafari.
All right, brother.
Accept him as a personal savior.
All right, we're gonna take. We're gonna leave it on that note, and we're gonna move on. And respect to the call still, and you know, just lucky in here what London town officer said to that. Dear brother.
Rastafari.
Peace. Okay, we're gonna take this next call. Good afternoon, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is
Sorry, what's your name, blood?
Omawale.
Okay, where you calling from?
I'm from Peckham.
Okay, what's your point you want to put across to London town?
Yeah, the issue I want to deal with at this particular moment is the question of identity of black people. One of the brothers spoke earlier, and he was talking about identity. And I think one of the first things we as black people need to consider is the way we address ourselves.
Sorry, say that again, blood? The way we...
Address ourselves.
Okay.
So in terms of, one of the brothers talked about whether he's a Rasta or not a Rasta, talking to a person born in Africa and calling him an ape. Now, one of the issues around identity is, the first question we need to ask ourselves is who we are. Who we are when we talk about ourselves as Africans. Are we from the Caribbean? Are we from Brazil? Or are we Africans? And the day we start looking at ourselves as African people, the question of identity will never come into it, irrespective of the sect or the particular individual cultures that we come out of the African diaspora.
Okay, Bridget, yeah, I hear that, and, you know, I may personally agree with that, okay? But as I said, I started off by saying, one time I was doing a little cabin, and I picked up 2 men, all right, because there wasn't a cab.
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay. Now, there are still many people out there that have the attitude that we're individuals. Right? Not individuals in the sense of not being one race, but there's a lot of diasporan Africans out there that still blame the indigenous population for selling us, you know, and they feed it very, very hard, and to the point where a lot of them won't go into African shops. And again, as I'm sure you know, out there in the community, the African economics industry in terms of shops, etc., indigenous African, is growing at a far faster pace than we as diasporian Africans, even though we have been here and we have like a bigger community, a much more stable and settled community in terms of the time that we've been here and the jobs that we actually do within this system. These are the people that we need to get to. You know, these are the people that are still causing a lot of problems and helping to stop unity being there within our nation.
I would agree with you.
Okay.
I would agree with you in that if we look at what, if you want to call them, and I would prefer to call them Caribbeans more than West Indians.
Yes.
But let us take us as a Caribbean people. I was born in the Caribbean myself.
Yes.
But my home is Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, I was born in the Caribbean. My home is Africa.
Okay.
I see myself as an African. I portray myself as an African, and I make people have no doubts that I'm an African.
Yes.
By deeds, words, and actions.
I hear that, but at the same time, Bridging, all right? At the same time, because I think this is something that I've always looked at in our nation. Now, the Caribbean culture, all right, in terms of dress sense, music, speech, food, the way we carry ourselves, everything, is in the black nation, especially here in Europe, it seems to be it seems to be the strongest culture. That is why you'll find, I know countless of Nigerians that swear blind that they're Jamaicans, you know, and you can find it amongst the other split up countries of Africa, the continent, where they will actually try and be something else, someone from the West Indies, rather than being themselves. Now, it's very rare to find people from the Caribbean and here who blatantly stand up and swear blind that they're African in the sense of they just come from Africa the other day. You know, so these is another one of the problems that we're trying to look at. If we now are so weak, etc., how comes us as Caribbeans, our culture is far stronger, is far extending the boundaries of cultural exchange more than any other culture, and in that I'm including the indigenous African culture.
I will tell you who, if you want to take a quote from one of our brothers who said it. I don't know if you remember the leader, Maurice Bishop.
Yes, I do, from Grenada, yeah.
Maurice Bishop made a statement in America before they shot him.
What was it?
When he said, the African people you've got to fear the most are those from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Why? Because we of the Caribbean built Europe. And we have extended the knowledge that was in Africa. We were the skilled people. They didn't take the weakest people from Africa. They took the strongest.
Okay.
They took the scholars. They took the missionaries. They took the teachers. They took everybody that was relevant to develop Europe. So yes, our culture in the Caribbean has to be recognized. Because not only are we coming with the African culture in its entirety, but we are coming with our association with European people. We know them the best, especially the English-speaking black people.
Okay.
So we have the power at this time. That is why when you look at our history of recent times, the first black republic was in the Caribbean.
Yes.
The first black republic was done in the Caribbean. By whom?
Was
By
it?
an African.
Was it, Bridging? I didn't know that. Who? What?
Look, Haiti.
Oh, yeah.
The first black republic was in Haiti.
Yes.
By an African. By Africans.
Okay.
Yeah. This is history. Yeah? Now let's move on from that.
Yes.
Let us look at the position that we hold in the West at this particular moment. Ask yourself, why is it that we, as the people who came from the Caribbean, you said we were here 30 years ago.
Yes.
We have the least set of circumstances in this time.
That's right.
That is because, you see, the white knows as an entity that the person he's got to kick down the most is us.
Yes.
Because we have the knowledge from both sides.
Yes.
If you go to the Caribbean, you know, like I do, we practice African culture.
That's right.
If you come here, we know everything about them.
Yeah.
They open their mouth, they say yes, we know what they mean yes. They say no, we know what they mean no.
Yeah.
They can't tell us we need an interpreter. There are no interpreters between us and them. So consequently, we are the strongest force at this time. But we must recognize that yes, we can say, oh, we were taken as slaves. But you see, every destiny of a people is where it stands out.
Yes.
We have gone through that transition, and we have come out stronger. And what we have to do today is to look and say, we're going to take the power that we have, get our brothers and sisters together all over the world, and become one as a nation with the experience that we have to go through, like any other nation of the world, to be where we are today.
So, Bridget, tell me something. There is a small consensus within the community, well, not small, quite large, right, that believe in, I'm just trying to turn around what you just said there, all right, and condense it, that we now, or there's been many tunes then, let me put it another way, there's been many, especially reggae music, that says Africa is awaiting its creators. Now, many people believe that that is us, that's gone through the experience that we have, having to go home and deal with the situation over there, because, as you said, we have the knowledge of both sides. How do you view that?
I believe that is the reality. But you see, one of the things we've got to be aware, yes, I talk about the power of the Caribbean people, but one of the things about us as Caribbean people, we have an arrogance because of the influence of this question. If you're lighter, you're better. If you are educated and you've gone to the academies of the world, the universities of the world, you have got more value. I say we have to drop that in the gutter where it belongs. Put it back where we got it from.
Well, yes. Well, you come back round now to the original problem.
Well, you see, it's only a that you see it as a problem. It is not a problem.
Okay.
What it is, it's an insight.
Yes.
It's a knowledge. It's a truth. And if we accept it as a truth, we have that arrogance. We have to sit down with our brothers, not go to war with them, and reason as to what it is about us that they have told them that's different. I mean, I travel Africa. I've heard people talk about going to Nigeria in particular. That's one of the countries I love to go to.
Yes.
I have always been treated as an African. When I go to Nigeria, people think he was born there. I love that because I am home. When I go there and the sun shines on me, I come back to this town, to this jungle, and I feel better. I know there's going to be a change.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we have to understand this power. We have to understand that the knowledge, information is not enough. It is the use of information and the way we use that knowledge that will give us the opportunity to move forward. Yeah. It's not just the information. There's lots of information. It's what we do with it. When we leave this interview, when I leave today, when people hear what we're talking about today, do they go home and do they sit down and say, who am I? Where am I coming from? I say I'm African. Why do I turn and look at some of my African brothers, wherever they come from, and say, oh, they're Africans? I am an African. And whenever I use a bad word about an African, I'm talking about myself.
Okay, Bridget, and I know the whole of London town heard that, and it's very positive talk. And I thank you very much for giving us that information, okay?
Okay, thank you, my brother.
Thanks for phoning in.
Next time.
One love.
Yo.
Okay, London Town, now I'm going to... We never finished the agenda off, you know. I gave you 2 topics that we was discussing. Now, I would also like to... I've got 2 more that, you know what I mean, I'd like us to touch, all right? Now, Sister Nzinga and the Mystery Man, who have an information show on Thursday between the hours of 3 and 5. Okay, they done a topic this week here on black-on-black violence, particularly violence against women, all right? Men beating up their women. Now, we did not get the greatest response, obviously because a lot of you are out working and a lot of you are in full-time education, etc. Even though you were listening, you wasn't near the phones. Now, I'm just going to bring it back again, right? From the Thursday show, 3 till 5 information show, and every day of the week you can catch an information show between the hours of 3 and 5. The rest of the information shows I'll tell you before I go, but between those hours, every day from Monday to Friday, you can catch someone in the house dissipating information. Now, you men out there that's beating up your women, your wives, your girlfriends, etc., you know, don't be shy today. Give us a call, come on, you need some help. Explain. You know, give me a reason why you're doing it. Because I want to come round your house with a baseball bat and break both your legs. All right, and your hands. All right, because you're beating up our women. Now, all of you black men out there that know you got brethren that's putting their hands on their women. Yes? And condoning it by keeping silent. They say that silence is consent. You know, and then you call these men your brethren. What would you say if it was your sister they was beating up like that, huh? Punching her in her face and splitting her lip and giving her black and blue.
And we're here to talk, well, not to talk about, for any feedback you may have regarding Black Awareness Day. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who turned up. And it was really nice to actually see you all there, you know, the fact that everything went on very peacefully, very nicely. Well, very nice. Here, I'll hand over to Sikoti now.
Hello, London Town. I'm not feeling too good this morning, so I'll be just saying thank you for all the help and support from all the Genesis DJs on the day. I'd particularly like to thank Sister Be Nice, Sister Imani beside me, Sister Nzinga, and of course I'd like to thank myself for all the work we all did on the day. I'd like to thank all the brothers on the station, Commissioner who's just spoken, Driver, Daddy Cooley, Mystery Man, all the brothers, you know, I mean, Philip Level, I can't remember everybody's name. Oh yeah, African Scientists. I'd like to thank them all. I'd also like to thank all the speakers who gave their time freely, and they were all very experienced people who could charge immense amount of money to do that type of speaking, but they were all very excellent. And generally speaking, the day went 100% very well. Anyone who wasn't happy with the day, please feel free to phone in and tell us, so that the next one, whether we decide to do it biannually or annually, is even better than the first. I'll pass back over now to Driver.
Yes, London Town. Well, you know, obviously, like I said, I thought we was going to discuss this another day, but we're here now, so I might as well thank everybody who helped with the Black Awareness Day, especially you, the people, also all the stallholders out there. You know, I hope you got your information out to the people. I hope the people supported you as, you know, they supported us by just being there. All of the speakers, all of the children, all of the parents. What I can say is that we definitely had a wonderful day. It was good to see us coming together. It's not something which I personally see shouldn't happen on a regular basis, because we should have days where we as black people come together. Okay, London Town, look like we've got a call here. We're going to take this call. Good afternoon, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Could you turn the radio down, please?
Sorry, 1 minute. Hi, yeah. I actually went to the Black Awareness.
Sorry, sis, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, sorry, Dion from Camberwell.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to the Black Awareness last week. Was it Monday? Yeah, Monday. Let's turn it on in the end, isn't it? And, yeah, it was a good meeting. I mean, although it went well and everything, I was disappointed at the turnout. I thought there should have been more black people there. The majority of people there were women, okay, and I really do believe that the women are clued up, especially the fact that they have children, they have male children, and it's going to be hard for them as they get older, okay. But apart from that, yes, I did enjoy myself. I'd like to comment on the gentleman that called up, Christopher from New Cross. I agree with everything that he says. Regardless of what's going on in the world, you know, wars against different people, basically we all have to answer to one God. The Rastas believe it's Jah, the Muslims, Allah, you know, everyone's got a different terminology for God. At the end of the day, Revelations is coming to pass. Everything in the Bible has to come to pass. Okay, you're saying, what can we do about it? Okay, believe in yourself, believe in your faith. Okay, and that alone will help you. Okay, to have a wider picture, a wider knowledge of what is going on in the world. At the end of the day, all of us, come Judgment Day, we have to answer for our sins. Okay.
Yeah, there's no problem. I ain't got no problem with that, sister.
Yeah,
it's just what we do in the meantime.
No, what you were saying is that what do we do about it? How do we do something about it? At the end of the day, the Rastas, okay, when I was growing up, my mum used to criticize them and say this and say that about them. At the end of the day, they stand for peace and love and unity. Okay, they've been preaching that from time, from when they first formed their movement. Do you understand? And at the end of the day, you cannot say, okay, yeah, oh, I'm not going to wait for the coming of this person to come and save us, okay? But God is waiting for all of us to find our path, find our way. At the end of the day, yes, we were brought into slavery. As he said, it states in the Bible 400 years of slavery. These things have to come to pass. We have to find ourselves within ourselves and find our faith, okay?
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying, sister, but what I'm saying is at the end of the day, we've still got to sort ourselves out. Just by having a faith, to me, isn't enough, because there's still the education side of things that we've got. Because, I mean, you can have a faith and go out there and see information, and because of your faith, that can cause you to reject that information.
Not necessarily, not necessarily. At the end of the day, you're like a jury, aren't you? You see with an open mind, okay? If you feel within yourself that you see out there is wrong, within yourself, you will know that it's wrong, okay? As people are saying, people are walking around blind, okay? At the end of the day, the fact that I was raising it with the intentions that Rastas were this and Rastas were that, okay, I am thinking in a totally different way now, okay? I can turn around and say that I do not believe in one particular being, okay? But at the same time, right, I am finding the faith within myself, and that is making me a better person. That's making me think differently to how I used to think, right? That is making me have more love for people. Do you understand? Regardless of their color, creed, and what have you, okay? At the end of the day, you're saying about African people. When I was younger, someone called me African. My parents are from Jamaica, and I felt insulted. Okay?
And why was that, sis?
Hold on, because that is how I felt at the time, okay? I don't know why I felt insulted for the fact that someone called me African, all right? But now I can turn around and say to you, if someone called me African today, I'll turn around and say, yes, I am African, and I'm pleased, and I'm proud to be
That's
African.
right, because you didn't know at the time, did you? You didn't know anything better, because you were just brought up in a way of thinking that, you are not African. African was just used as a negative. Anytime you heard that word, you disassociated yourself from that. So
exactly,
as you grew through life, you educated yourself, and you got to know what exactly the person, what you were actually being called at the time. So now you know to yourself, well, yeah, all right, I ain't got no problem with that. And you can even give a person more information why you haven't got no problem with that. All I'm saying at the end of the day is that there's things that's going on around us, and there is just our faith alone will not help us deal with the situation. Like the caller said before, education is good, but we have to act on the education.
I hear you, but at the same time, if one is going around with no faith, okay, and no belief in God, okay, one is lost. Right? The thing is, what they don't understand is that once you find God within yourself, whether you go to church, okay, whether you go to different meetings, once you find God within yourself and you have to live in by a certain way, in a certain rule, that within itself is going to change you as a person. Now, at the end of the day, I found God, you found God, right? I don't know you, right? But I would see you on the street. You will acknowledge me, I will acknowledge you through our faith alone, yeah? Now, what I'm saying is that a lot of people need to wake up. Find your faith first, okay? Then you will see with an open eye about what is going on around you, okay? As you say, we need knowledge. You cannot find knowledge unless you find your faith and find books to read to help you gain a better understanding of what is going on today. Okay, we are not in control, okay? But with your faith alone, you will see the right path to lead yourself and your people and your children. Yeah?
All right, sis. Sorry, was you going to say something else?
Yeah, I wanted to get onto the business about black men beating up women.
Yeah.
Now, these black men that end up beating up women, they are insecure within themselves, okay? I know black women, we've got this thing about ourselves where, you know what I mean, if we've got something to say, we'll just say it, and we don't business about the consequences, okay? Now, again, if those individuals had faith within themselves, they would think about what they say before they say it, okay? The man would then, if he could comprehend what that woman is saying to him, right, he will not raise his fist. It's ignorance, okay, insecurity that will allow a black man to raise his fist against his woman. Now, you mentioned that it's happening to a lot of pregnant women, okay? Those men know that those women cannot fight back. Do you understand? They want to put them in their place, talk to them, okay? As you say, black women, we want to be loved, okay? And at the end of the day, if these black men continue going around and beating up their women, nothing is going to get solved, because that woman could be carrying his son, and his son will grow up, will see that's how his father's treating his mother, and he will grow up and do the same thing.
Okay,
right?
Sister D, I just wanted to ask you, all right? Or I wanted to throw a few spanners in the works. Number one, what about, you know, there's many black men out there, I've spoken to countless number, not, you know, a holy, but quite a few black men who say that their woman, she's not going to respond if they don't give her a good slapping.
That's because they're ignorant.
That's because what? The men are ignorant.
The men are ignorant because if you feel that we're
Dion, are you honestly going to tell me that you don't know no women that enjoy getting beat by their man?
No, I can't say that anyone, not women anyway. No one likes getting beaten up. Nobody. Do you understand? Now, if
okay, I hear that. Listen, all right, let's go back a few years, right?
Okay.
Remember a movie called Burning an Illusion?
No, I don't. But
all right,
anyway.
There was a movie that was made here in England, a black production, called Burning an Illusion, and it showed sound system days and what it was like for young black people growing up here and dealing with everything. Now, in that movie, one of the main characters was a sister, okay, who went out with her brother who was like a little rude boy, and she danced with someone in a dance.
Yeah.
And he, as a result, come into the dance, drag her out, beat her up in front of her friends. Now, her friends was telling her, oh, okay, you should leave him and don't put up with it. But she was saying, no, he loves me and he's only doing it because he loves me and rah. Now, what I'm saying is that you still have women out there today with that same attitude, with that same mentality, that the only way that the man can show his love for them is by putting his hands on them. If he doesn't do that, then it's like, you know, he must have someone somewhere else.
No, well, the thing is, those women, they're insecure. They have no self-esteem, okay? Now, the fact that the next man is going to fight for her or beat her up makes her feel, yes, this man loves me. Well, she is wrong in her thinking, and only she will know. One day she will wake up and she will realize, I am not taking that anymore. There's thousands of women out there that have been through that could ring up this show and say, yes, I have been through that, but I woke up and I realized I am not having this, right? Everything bad that happens to people, okay, one day they will wake up and realize this is not the right way that I should be living. I am not going to take this from this man, okay? Some women, it takes them like months to leave a man. Many women, it takes them years, and it's harder for the women that have got children. Do you understand? But there is no solution to this question, okay, unless these women wake up and realize that this man, fine, he might love me, but the way he shows his love for me is not the way I want him to show his love for me. Do you understand? And at the end of the day, these men that go on like this, they are very weak and insecure within themselves, okay?
Okay, D, sorry,
Yeah.
I heard that and I agree with a lot of what you said, all right? But you see the insecure bit.
Yeah.
That's why I disagree, because what I want to say now is, what about now those boys that grew up in a violent household, okay, who all they see their dad do is handle their mum in the same manner, all right? That's number one. And number two, what about the girls that grow up in that same household? You know, because all they see is their mother, and especially if the mother puts up with it, you know, obviously that's the example that's been set to them for later life. And is it a matter of insecurity?
Where that is concerned, there will come a time when that mold will be broken, okay, for that child to realize, no, that's not the way I want to live, okay? Yes, they do see that, and they go through their lives in certain respects doing that, okay? But at the same time, one day their eyes will be open and they'll find a good woman to love, right? They will find structure within their lives, okay? And they will move on from there. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't, and that's why hence you see a load of black people in jail for these type of crimes, okay? But that mold has to be broken, right? And the fact that a pregnant woman will get beat up by their partner, that child will grow up in that environment. It is down to that mother to explain to that child why that she is going through that, and the fact that she does not want her son to grow up and be like his father. And better still, if any woman out there finds herself in that situation, find the strength to leave, or find the strength to get counseling, or find the strength to sit down with your man, stick up for yourself and tell him, no, I am not going to accept this. I am not going to put up with this anymore. If you cannot reason with me, if you cannot sit down and talk to me with regards to these problems that we are having, and, you know, 9 times out of 10, why she get licked down is something trivial. Do you understand? Because when a woman is talking to a man, or vice versa, because you've got women out there that beat up their men same way, right? It comes to a stage where they don't know what to say, so what they do, they raise their hand. You understand? Right?
I agree with you, sister. I agree with most of what you said, but there's also another side, that some of the men who beat up their wives actually are the most intelligent in our community. And there's more than one way to beat up someone. Some people physically beat up. We've got a lot of men who psychologically beat up. There's a lot of women who you find in the madhouse, and vice versa, women who've done it to men. It's the psychological oppression that's gone on. In fact, some of the worst psychological effects in our community is not physical attack. Because if you get physically attacked, either you defend yourself, right, or you run. You've got a few, or you know, or maybe you use something to defend yourself, depending on your size and this type of thing. But there's also another very serious attack. We've got a lot of mental game players, right? And we have it on the women's side and the men's side, right? And once you start playing these mental games, because we're in a society which is based on really bullying, right? The strongest countries in this world are those who've bullied the smaller ones, basically, right? So most of this has been done by males. So males' ego extends not just from the point of their relationship with their woman, it extends from the point of the world. Now, obviously, those men who are unable, right, who are unable to feel man because they don't own their own countries anymore, they don't own their own countries anymore, and they're like boys in other people's countries, like a lot of our men, then who do you turn to first? Your woman. Because that's the only person now you're left to have any domination over and control. So unfortunately, you have a choice as a woman then, if in a violent situation. Either you're going to let the same man who's just beaten up your man come and arrest your man. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, it would be better, as we had in the 60s, like from grassroots over west and them side there was organisations in those days, in Black Power days, right, where if a sister was beaten up or being attacked by her black man, right, she could actually pick up the phone and 10 brothers would land. So it wouldn't be a situation that this brother's going to be now incarcerated, right? We was helping the situation, whereas, let's face it, everyone knows, lock people up it doesn't mean they're going to come out any better. All you're
Exactly, I
really
agree.
doing, even you, the woman who kicks out a man who's violent, for instance, right? What's he going to do? Move on to a next woman. That's what he's really going to do. That's the reality of our situation. So wouldn't it be better if our men took responsibility for their brothers' actions,
Yeah.
right? And organised in such a way that they could go out and say, we're watching our sisters, all the sisters in the community would know, well, this is the number, you know what I mean? If your black man is attacking you and you don't want him to be incarcerated, because apart from anything else, you want the finance and the financial support for your children, for instance, just to give a practical note in here, then you could phone up this number and you know that 6 to 10 brothers could land, not imprison him, not beat him up, but restrain him, take him away and reason with him.
Okay, so you say that now. That said brother that is taken away and reasoned with, right? When he goes back home, right, because you know black people within themselves, we've got this kind of, how can I say, pride, right? That man come back in his house and say, you make these people come in my house and do this to me and do that to me. You understand? Lick again with they end up fighting again.
Yeah, that's true, but that's what I'm trying to say. Look at our people. You're talking about faith. Earlier on you was talking about faith and having a faith, right? My faith is just still, right?
Right,
and
right.
I mean, I don't like to say male or female. To me, it's a power source thing, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, right, when these men do that, right, how comes our men will listen to the man, the white man, but he won't listen to his own brothers? This is not a pride thing. It's a stupidity thing.
Yeah, I
Most of the
agree with
brothers are
you in
playing
that respect, but
damn
what you have to understand as well, okay, those who are born into slavery, those who are brought over to England, we have the mentality of a white person. Do you understand?
No,
right?
no.
Let me explain myself. No, let me explain myself, okay?
Some of us have.
What we see on the TV is pure white people. We go to school, we are taught by white people. When we go out to work, the environment is majority white. Do you understand? Right? We could act just like white people, but no, what we do, we work in their workplace. Our teachers, our schools are run by them. Our children go to school. But when they come back into their own, they are themselves. Do you understand? I can guarantee you every black person walks around with an ache in their heart because they know there is something wrong. And what do we do? How do we do? This thing about black men beating up their women, white men are doing exactly the same thing. Okay, I know we're just addressing the black issue, but it's society. Society have made this happen, okay? Everything that happens within this society is an organized thing. Okay.
All right, sis, because I want to wrap it up still, see?
Okay.
I mean, enough respect for all of the input that you've got to put in the last, how long we've been talking.
Yeah.
All I can say is at the end of the day, for the sisters out there who are getting beaten up by the brothers them out there, all the driver can say to you is, go out there and learn self-defense. See?
Not even learn self-defense. Wake up to yourself.
Because it is at the end of the day, because you're talking about faith and all of that. See, and I'm saying the faith isn't enough. See?
It is enough. It isn't enough because if you find that faith and you feel that love that once you've got that faith within yourself, it again will change your life. You have a sister on your show, right, who's a Rasta woman, and it's the same woman that I saw at the Black Awareness where she cut off her locks, right, because she went to her father's funeral, right? I give her 100% respect for that because at the end of the day, she has her faith. Because as a Rasta woman or a Rasta man, you cannot drink wine, you cannot eat grapes, and you cannot be around dead bodies. And for the love of her father, for the love of her father, she cut off her locks in order to go to his funeral. She has her faith. She has her love, okay? And at the end of the day, if a lot of people out there find that faith, it will change them as individuals. And even then, black men out there, if they had a little faith, a little love in their heart, if they found God, I can assure you that they will change their ways.
All right, sis. Enough respect for that still, yeah?
Okay, then.
All right. Peace.
Bye-bye.
It's a 96 degrees on the Genesis, yes. Relax on the radio. This is Luciano. Oh, what a way to go on the Genesis Radio.
Okay, London Town, 09558 504 906. Okay, sister. Yes. Right, like I said, London Town. Well, you know how it goes already. Sunday afternoon from the hours till 11 till 2, you know, the People's Talk Show. And, you know, like the sister said, at the end of the day, she sees it as faith is definitely enough for her. It's up to you, London Town. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd like to know. What's your opinion? All right. Good afternoon, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Leroy.
Yes, brother Leroy.
On the situation of men beating up women, it is insecurity why a man would beat a woman. But much of it goes back to slavery once again. But if we don't want to do slavery, we can't really deal with the situation at hand. You know, during slavery, the black man was reduced to such a lower place. And, you know, it didn't just happen in the Americas. You know, we have to acknowledge that slavery also happened in Africa, because colonization is slavery. And so the black man was reduced to a secondary place in his home state. And so, you know, he had to acknowledge that he had to try and find some kind of manhood. So he took it out on his woman.
All right.
You know?
I hear what you're saying, Leroy. All it is just that, me personally, I'm a bit tired of, like, all right, every time we turn around and there's a problem, we go back and we say, yes, well, you know, from slavery days and everything. You see, to me, it's like putting the blame elsewhere instead of dealing with the situation at hand. All right, it happened from then. It doesn't mean it has to continue now.
That's true.
See,
that's true. But what I'm basically saying is, like, with every situation, you just need to find the root of it. When you find the root, then you can start building.
We know the root of it. You know, well, enough of the things that take
you do, I do, but most black men, they can't even acknowledge why they're doing things. I remember sitting around my sister's house, and it actually happened that when I arrived, her and her ex were actually having a sort of argument. She opened up the conversation on black men going all over the place, jumping the fence and dealing with how many women.
Yeah.
Yeah? It was put to him why he did it. He couldn't really answer it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Now, when it was opened about the situation of that during slavery, he couldn't really have a woman marriage, and he couldn't really have a woman because the slave master could have a woman. So instead of dealing with putting his heart on a woman, he thought to himself, well, I'm not going to love a woman because that white man can just take her. I'm going to go anywhere. You see what I'm saying? And it was the first time he'd heard that concept, and he was quietened. You see what I'm saying? Knowledge actually opens up that arena for the man to say to himself, yeah, what my problem is that I'm supposed to be making kingdoms out there, and I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah,
I'm feeling insecure inside, I'm not doing my role, and so I'm blaming somebody else. You see, because half the time, what we have to acknowledge, if it wasn't for women, we wouldn't be here.
Facts.
Firstly, in the factor of birth, but also the factor of that the woman, the black woman, has carried the black nation for the last 400 years.
Put it this way, Leroy, at the end of the day, I mean, I can say respect for all of those brothers who respect their black women. See, but at the end of the day, there's X amount of situation that we as black people, we go through, and it always goes back to slavery. I'm just a bit concerned with this attachment, this close association with slavery, and every time something goes wrong. I'm not saying that we should forget about it. All right, we know it took place. I'm just saying we should be moving on and trying to deal with the situations at hand.
I'm going to say it one more time, but you can't actually move on from A to B until you've dealt with A.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That is the problem. You know, education of the mind is the first thing.
Yeah.
If black people don't know their history, they don't know how to go forward and what they can do.
Yeah, but I'm saying is there's those who do know their history, like
yes, there is.
Said,
that's right.
You know, there's intelligent brothers out
and there's
there
denial.
who know their history and they're still doing it.
And there's denial.
So what I'm saying is there's still something wrong.
Yeah, because denial. But, you know, the secondary point is that brothers like me or you, we have to also look at ourselves. Because whilst some of our friends and brothers and the likes are beating their women, we're standing and not doing nothing. You see what I'm saying? So in many respects, many of us black men who aren't beating our women and don't agree with beating women, we have to blame ourselves still because we ain't stopping those other black men from beating our women. You see what I'm saying? We need to police that.
So why is that?
I wouldn't be able to put my finger on that, really. But maybe it's because as a people, we're not actually that together. And so I don't know how much power is behind me if I try and get involved with this or that, you know. You see, but if we were more together as a community, we'd know that, you know, we could police these things. We'd know what's going on in our community, and we'd know how to police it.
So what did you think about that idea of mine to actually, for brothers, like they used to do in the 60s in the Black Power days, where they have a group of brothers who, if there was violence, it's like a helpline number, and the women would just phone that number so that the brother wouldn't be arrested by the police and therefore given a sentence and therefore coming out bitter and more likely to do the same thing anyway. You know what I mean? Or, you know, the black men in the community getting together and making a safe house for brothers so they can sleep overnight or leave their woman if need be because they clearly can't control them. I mean, my own father, I remember teaching my brothers that if you feel your hand, just lift, go through the door, because you and that woman can't live.
Right,
where you put it, you know, I mean, he didn't put it like, say, reach anywhere yet. If you're, once you feel as a man that your hand begins to raise beside you as you're having an argument with your queen, princess, woman, whatever you want to call her, little dog, perhaps.
Well, once you know, we're acknowledging that there's a problem, and we're saying that we don't want the police of the white man's world to deal with it.
Right.
Then we can't just take the black man out and then put him back in. We have to deal with the problem, you know.
Yeah.
And the secondary factor is that
no, but the reason why I'm asking you as a woman, right? I'm looking at it to say, well, as a woman, there's no way that I understand how men think, right? I know how they think, but I don't understand how they come to their conclusions.
Conclusions.
Yeah, right?
But
so as a
can
woman,
I just say one more thing?
Suggest. Yeah, go on.
When I was growing up, my mother told me this, that if I ever mess around with anyone else's daughter and they come to chop my leg off, she'll be chopping off the other. You know what I'm saying? And that was a deep teaching for me, you know, the knowledge of that. She was showing me that I wouldn't like it to happen to my sister. And in me doing it to another person's daughter, they've done it to my sister. I've done it to my sister. And so when they come to beat me, she'll be beating me as well. That was taught to me at about 12 years old, right at the brink of where, you know, most boys are thinking of kind of like women now, you know?
Yeah, but once I mean, obviously, the brothers who wouldn't never dream to do such a thing in the first place and have already had that early training for whatever reason, because some men have seen their mothers beaten and they don't grow up to be beaters themselves, because obviously it's a mental choice. You know what I mean? And what kind of things you discipline yourself within your life, whether it's faith, you know what I mean? Because it's not just every person that's seen violence will perpetuate it, because, you know, that'd be ridiculous. If that were the case, every black man should be a complete and utter maniac. No matter violence. You know what I mean? And you can't get a more peaceful, loving man, generally speaking. Right? But if you feel powerless, I mean, my observations of male and male violence is this. If a man feels powerless, right, and the only power he has is in his home, or that's what he regards as his castle, the frustrations that affect him out of street, right, he'll bring into his partner, you know what I mean? And obviously, she will take the brunt of that, you know? Now, sometimes it's down to the way they are behaving, the historical aspect of which you said earlier. Right, sometimes it's down to that type of thing, but other times it's down to the way they're actually coping with the stresses and strains of racism in the society on a day-to-day level. Right? I'm just going to tune off now. Thanks very much for your
Thanks very much, sister. Thanks very much, brother. You look after.
Take care. Hello? Genesis?
Hello?
Genesis?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Greetings, sister.
Hello, brother. What's your name and where are you phoning from?
My name is Mohammed Solomon.
Hello, Mohammed Solomon.
And I'm phoning from Peckham.
You're phoning from?
Peckham.
Hello, Mohammed. From Peckham. And what would you like to say on which subject?
Well, I've been listening to the show for the past, since it's been on. And I feel once again that we as black people are not really dealing with the issues that are involved in violence, which we abhor, which is specifically kind of violence as in, black men beating black women type violence. But I believe it's a much broader spectrum than that.
Right.
Because I believe that we have to look at the roots of where this so-called violence comes from. And I think that when you look at the way that the black man has been emasculated in this society, not only by the white man, but also by the black woman who's got involved in this emasculating, these have an erroneous effect on our society. Therefore, as you quite rightly outlined, the black man feels powerless. And once he feels powerless, it's not that he's taking out his anger on his woman. You have to deal with the fact that this black man has been stripped from the very first offset by the slave system, the plantation system, and also by the black woman, because during slavery, once again I must mention this, the black woman didn't want her black son to be seen as a man, because if he was seen as a threat to the system, he could be lynched at any time. You know, they used to lynchers or cut our penises off and pickle them in jars, this type of thing. So what she would have to do is she would keep him as a little boy, because she knew that he was a threat, he would be immediately killed or sold or singled out.
Right.
So she got involved in this mollycoddling mentality of destroying his manhood and stripping his manhood. So therefore, without knowing, she was getting involved in the very same slave system that helped to perpetuate, you know, this idea of like the black man is not a man. And this is why you find black sisters today have very little respect for the black man, because of the fact they've sold out, a lot of them, not all of them, I'm not going to say all sisters have, but many of them have sold out and bought into the white man's dream. And this is the same thing that happened on the plantation, where the white man would separate the black man and the black woman. He would rape the black woman, he would put her in a house where he would have continually be able to have sex with her or carry out his perversions with her, and then he would strip the black man in her eyes, so he would destroy the family contact that we had back in Mother Africa. And I think, so we now see that sisters, even yesterday I was with my wife, and I observed a mother in Tesco's in Brixton, stripping a little black boy. I mean, in the sense of her tongue lashing at this boy, cussing the boy, you're like your father, you're whatless, you're no good. I tell you so many times to behave yourself. Beating the boy in public. The boy was supposed to be about 5 years old. Stripping the boy, his tears running down the little boy's eyes. And me and my wife had to go over and say, sister, this is not the way to conduct yourself concerning this little boy, because you are now going to strip him of his manners, strip him of any respect he must have. And then when he gets older, what will happen then? He will think that, you know, for him to lash out and in anger, she's teaching him to cuss and go on bad like that. So he's going to think, let me deal with my problems exactly the same. So I think that, you know, we've got to look at the psychological effects of the tongue. The tongue is just violent.
I agree with you up to a point, right? I believe that we have to look at the psychological effects up to a point, right? At the end of the day, the way I see it, right, if our men can have the energy to buy a big car, drive up and down and do all kind of other things that gives them what they regard as so-called pleasure, right? Why can't they find pleasure irrespective of how many times they've been stripped? I know one thing, we the women have stripped them least of all, right? We have been their backbone from beginning to end. I mean, in Jamaican slave history, right, it was the women that were making sure they were aborting their babies and so that no child would even be born into slavery. It was the women that fought. It was Nanny that nearly went to kill her brother because he made the deal with the British. It wasn't the women. It wasn't the men who were really fighting. It was the women. And they were 100% up front. So obviously, if you as a woman now, I mean, it is true. It is true. If we as the women now, right, if we as the women now, with our men, and we're saying, okay then, men, right, stand firm, you know what I mean, we'll stand beside you, you'll stand beside us, let's do this, let's actually work this thing out. And if the women keep saying that and the brothers don't want to listen, or as we was talking about earlier, they're becoming violent, the brothers amongst themselves don't seem to want to organise anything to support one another. All they can keep doing is pointing out the problem without giving no damn solution, right? Now, as sisters, we're the ones carrying the next generation. You know what I mean? I mean, when you're, I mean, sometimes I wonder, is it the reason why so many of the brothers seem, right, not all, but so many of them, right, seem so weak? Is it because they, unlike women, who have to carry a child in their stomach 9 months, have periods regularly, like it's a volcano erupting in your stomach, right? That even with all of that, we still carry our children, push them out into the world, rear them single-handedly, many of us, right, with very, very little support, and then still yet the brothers are going to turn around and say to us about, why aren't we doing this, why aren't we doing that, why are we lashing you? Get up, man, be a man, get up. You know what I mean? I don't want no boy around me. It's the truth. Not for them, right? At the end of the day, right? Why are the women lashing to that degree? Where are the fathers? Why aren't they playing their role? Unfortunately, can I just finish one bit further? I just want to say one other thing. Unfortunately, the brothers who are the most willing to talk about this subject, funnily enough, are the best fathers going. And this is what part of the problem is. The people who really need to talk about it aren't.
Are the best brothers?
Some of the men who are willing to talk about this subject of how women are lashing men, right, are normally, right, the best fathers in the sense of they actually realise what their role is. The men who should be talking about it, and the men that the men who are aware should be talking to, it's not the sisters. They should be talking to their brothers. But once again, as with violence, they haven't got the front. Well, I, for one, right, Sikoti Melanchon, have no time for weak-hearts. I just haven't got the time, right? I raised 3 sons, and as far as I'm concerned, all 3 of my sons are supposed to be able to stand firm, right? And every year that I raise my sons, when I see them lick tree, I say, give thanks, Jah, right? If I drop dead now, how will my child cope? You know what I mean? I was making sure that my child, I didn't teach them what to think. I did not teach any of my children what to think. I taught them how to think, right? And I feel that, what I want to say is...
if I can get a word in, sister, what you're saying, like you said, I mean, I can agree with what you said. I mean, I talk for myself. I was brought up by a single mother.
Right.
Yeah? Now, I give enough respect to single mothers.
Right.
But as far as I'm concerned, a family is a mother and a father and children. That is a family. Single mothers do a brilliant job because I wouldn't be the man I am today. I have 3 daughters myself, and I've been married for 10 years.
Right.
So I have 3 daughters myself. So I understand the system and how it works in emasculating a black man and a black woman.
Right.
What I'm saying is that it takes 2 people to rear a child. You carry the child, but the seed comes from the man. So it's a responsibility for the man and the woman. And I think that we have to understand that if we are in a rowing boat, as I said before, if you paddle one way and I'm paddling the other, we're not going to get nowhere. But
precisely, I agree.
No, I'm saying that there is responsibility for the black man. Yes, we agree with that, but we must not let the sister off the hook neither. Because if black boys don't show respect for the black woman in adulthood, if black boys don't love the black woman in adulthood, if black boys are beating black women in adulthood, what are the black sisters teaching them as little boys? What respect are they giving them?
Hold on. You're making...
Can I finish this?
Listen to what you just said.
Can I finish, please?
Can I just...
Because this is one brother who ain't a weak heart. This is one brother who ain't a weak heart, you understand? This is one brother who ain't a weak heart. I would take heads for my black woman. You know, so my princess, I would take heads for my black woman. But I believe, because the man, as a one who grew up in a single house environment, I had to know what a man was. My mother couldn't teach me to be a man, my sister.
Precisely, I agree.
Beautiful as she is, strong as she is, teaching me respect, honor, and discipline, and these type of things which are necessary in life. She could not teach me to be a man.
I agree.
Now we have to make sure that we have some type of initiation, some type of situation for sisters where there is no man in the house. Because the reason why they don't want a black man in the house, because if you are on housing benefit or claiming Social Security, the minute a man is in that house, they will cut the benefit they give to the sister. So they're encouraging her for more ways to make sure there is no man in her life. They will check on you to make sure there's no man around.
Yeah, but listen, brother, can I say something?
Another part of the plan, as we know, is that black women...
I agree, but this is what...
Can I just finish this part, please?
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, okay. And another part of the plan, as we said, is the separation of the woman. A recent survey came out that said that after the white woman, the black woman is the most educated, the most employed, and the most likely to succeed in business and in higher education and in a higher professional life than any other woman in England, or than any other race of woman. Now, if black women are achieving that, we have to then say, well, what benefits are they then giving to the black man or to the black family? Now, the reason I'm saying this is simple as this. I don't believe no black woman carried me. The only black woman carried me is my mother for 9 months, as you rightly said, and pushed me out. Because the black man, all through slavery, was trying to fight and die for his woman. But we don't highlight that because it don't suit some of the black feminist arguments that we've gotten into nowadays. I'll put it this way, but...
No, brother, please.
Quickly. One more point, my sister, because you have to allow me on this.
Yes, go on.
You my daughters. I got 3 beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
any other man put his hand on them, it's that I'm dealing with. That's my point. But I'm also saying this. I will never teach, if I had a son, I would never teach him that if don't put your hand on a woman. I'll tell you this why. Why do I say this? Because if a policewoman come at me with a truncheon, you think I'm going to stand there as a black man? If I'm there with my little daughter, and she comes to lick my daughter, and she comes, I must say, okay, let her bust my head with a truncheon, simply because she's a woman. If a woman come at me with a knife or a gun, I must say no, I must get juck, stabbed in front of my little daughter to show there's no respect that man can't defend her. For her, just because she's a woman, no. Anybody come near me, my babies, my wife, my family, man, woman, cat, rat, dog, to threaten my family, I'm taking heads to bed. Because this is one black man that don't play, don't mess around. White man ain't going to mess up my daughters and put my daughters in the system and try and rape up my daughters. And another point is this, those sisters that sell out to white man and strip the black man in order to go with the white man, their time is going to come too. They will be pulling check because
remember, it's sisters and brothers, today. Brother. It's sisters and brothers that are doing that. And there's more. This
is my issue because I'm not denying that. I'm saying this. I'm here to say this. It's brothers and sisters in the same boat. I said that already.
All right.
I just pick it on the sister. I just pick it on the brother. But I must admit, I've been to meetings when it's supposed to be 90% cussing off brothers ain't no good. I say this why. Last week I went to a meeting. There's some sister stood up and said that if the police if a black man, if you know a black man selling drugs, or black men who have guns and do violence, whatever crime it is, we must turn the black man over to the police.
All right, brother.
Okay, hold on quickly.
No, you answer, brother, Carl. You know where I run through time now, and
I'm going to make a quick point, and I'm going to chip. I'm going to make a quick point, my brother, and I'll chip. The point is, the sisters were saying there's no strong black men there.
Right.
There's no strong black men. I stood up, right, and this is because the black man wants to be protected.
Okay.
I stood up and I said, okay then, black women must be protected, and I believe in defending the black woman. I defend it with my life. But as black women, we've got to come to terms that you are responsible for some of the problems in our nation, and you must realize that you cannot do it alone because you're not strong enough to do it alone.
Okay.
So beside cussing me now saying, no, we don't need no man now. We don't need no man, no, go away with that Steve because we're strong enough. So I'm saying we've got to work together, we've got to move forward together. It's not just the black men, there's warrior black men out there, there's warrior queens out there, and we've got to come together in this day and time if we want to survive the next millennium.
Okay,
so
thank
you for listening to me. Thanks to the sister, enough respect to the sister because she's saying what needs to be said, enough respect to the Genesis crew, and thanks for listening, brothers, man, and one love to everybody, yeah?
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, my sister. Thanks, my queen.
All right, peace. Okay. This is the People's Talk Show, Genesis 91.6. The phone number is 0958 504 906. And, yeah, and Commissioner wants to say something.
Yeah, the bridging that just called. Enough, maximum, the most, enough, love, one love. It's nice to see that there's some positive black man out there that's prepared to stand up and speak for us. See, we're going to take this call. Okay, the call's gone. Bridging, as I was saying, yeah, beautiful, beautiful talk, lovely talk. Good afternoon, you're in tune to Genesis 91.6 FM. What is your name and from where are you calling, please?
Okay, Shauna, and I'm calling from Bermondsey.
Yes, sister.
Right. What I'd like to say is, first of all, okay, what the guy said before is correct.
No, not guy. Brethren or brother or whatever.
The brother.
Yes.
What the brother said before is correct to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But he must also realize that black women are not just asking for financial support. It's not all about the money. It's emotional support too.
Okay.
I mean, I have for instance, I have a lot of friends, okay, who can look after their children by themselves. They can give them the financial. But they ask the fathers to come and see them maybe once a week, twice a week, and they can't even do that.
Okay, sis, I hear that. Now,
you know what I mean?
On them two issues, number one, he said in terms of single parent families, he grew from a single parent family, but still there's something that a woman cannot teach a man to be a man.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was, all right, that was the first one. Now, secondly, he tipped on as well, which is a very big subject, because we're talking when it comes to black on black violence. Black women, all right, have a mind and a tongue that could strip down, knock away, bust up anybody at all on the earth. And more than anyone else, they use it against their own this is one of the topics that you did touch on.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm saying now, from that point of view, when you speak now of the single women that can raise their children on their own,
Yeah.
and financially are surviving, you know, safely,
I
but
mean,
they ask their dads to come maybe once a week to see their children and give them some relationship.
Yeah.
You know, consider the mentality of the black woman in terms of she can be highly dangerous with her mind and her tongue. And
no, that
maybe
is
there's
true,
a lot
but-
of black men out there that are running away from that.
Yeah, no, but they have to rise above that, you know. There are a lot of black there for that same reason, believe that black women are too much to handle, that they decide they're going to go out with another race. It's the same thing. The black man has to be stronger in that respect, and you know.
Yeah, I hear that's this, but don't you think that's a bit, that's, you know, we need something more concrete than that, because it is, honestly, believe me, it is a problem. You do have black women out there that is beating up their men with their tongue, and the men, because they can't answer back, they raise their hand, you know, so it
Would
is
you
a
say
great
that
problem.
would you say that this is a majority of black women, or is this the minority?
I've yet to meet a black woman that hasn't got a tongue like wildfire. That's personal. Now, I'm not saying that our queens conduct themselves in that manner, but they have the ability to tear to shreds any human being on the earth with their tongue and their mind. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah?
True.
So, you know, now looking at it from the brother's point of view, he's saying that black women are responsible for a lot of things, you know, and that is one of the issues that has to be talked about and has to be exposed.
That black women are responsible for lots of the problems that we have?
Yeah, it causes a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean...
As you heard Sister Sikoti say earlier on, if there was somewhere where even black men, like her dad used to say, if you feel your hand raising, head through the door. Now, there are places now, what some people might call shubbins, where certain nights of the week, if you go down there, every man that's there has just had a row with his missus, and he's just run out the door. You know, so yeah, it is something.
Yeah.
You know, and you find usually it's not the woman that heads out the door, it's the man, because verbally, mentally, you know, the venom of the tongue, he can't handle it, he can't deal with it.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, all right, sis?
Yeah.
You know, so just something else for us to look at, you know. But thank you very much for phoning in.
Yeah, but what can be done about this then?
Well, I personally believe, as Sister Sikoti said again, we black men now have to start setting up some forms of organizations where we ourselves can get together and where there is refuge for men that feel that they're about to lick their woman or their queen. You know, that's one of the things. And at the same time, our black women now have to start conducting themselves, you know, and I'm not just talking about in the way they dress or whatever.
Yeah, but can I just say something there?
Yes.
There are a lot of black women out there, like me, for instance, who would not degrade a man in that respect. I mean, unless I felt that he was really going nowhere with his life and he was really useless.
Yeah, well, sis, you see, that's one of the things. Maybe, you know, there's a lot of women that have the attitude that, oh, he's not going nowhere and he is useless. They don't know where he's come from. They don't know what he's gone through. They don't know he might be even fortunate to be walking that day. They don't know it, but they just sum him up and assume, well, that's another one that ain't going nowhere. That's one of the problems.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real.
You know, because at the end of the day, we're all family. Well, thanks for your call very much.
Oh,
all right?
All right.
See
Bye.
Yeah, London Town. Oh my gosh, we just turned the phone off and it's on again. Listen, what I wanted to say, sorry caller, what I wanted to say is don't forget we do have some other topics if you would like to speak. We have the difference between the black, African, diasporian and indigenous, okay? We're going to take this call. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, you're in tune to Genesis 91.6. What's your name and from where are you calling, please?
I'm Darren from Brixton.
Yes, brethren.
I would like to back up the caller. I think his name was Mohammed Suleiman.
Yes.
I mean, we have to make a distinction between black women who are for the black man, black women who are against the black man.
Yes.
And you find a lot of black women are basically attacking the black man with no real love for the black man, because the black man at the moment is an easy target. So you find that a lot of black sisters, like the brother said, whipping the black man, speaking bad about the black man, who has got no love for the black race at all. So I think you have to be a balance. You have to make a distinction between black men black men who really are for the black race, and black women are for the black race, and black men who are against the black race.
Yeah, okay, Bridget, I hear that. But you see, personally for me, now I believe that all black people are for the black race. But
Well,
hold on. It's certain degrees. Hold
I
on,
would
Bridget.
disagree
Hold
with
on,
you because
Bridget. I know you would.
Black people.
I know you would, Bridget. But let me just finish first, all
Okay.
right? The reason why I say that is because all of us as a people, regardless of what we believe individually, from your skin is black, we have all gone through an experience of degradation, etc., etc. All of us, without exception. Now, some have been affected greatly by it, and others are coming out of it. Others have not been affected so greatly by it. So from that point of view now, that's why I say what I say.
Well, I would disagree with you with respect, yeah, because even historically it doesn't bear out. You've got all kinds of historical situations where you've got black people who fought against other blacks and fought for the white man on the white man's side.
Yeah, but
now, this situation exists today where we've got black people, men and women, who basically don't have faith in the black cause, don't have faith in black men or women.
Yeah, but isn't that brainwashing? Isn't that brainwashing, Bridget? Isn't that because they've been brainwashed to the ultimate?
But whether being brainwashed or not being brainwashed doesn't make a difference because the effect is still there.
Okay.
They're attacking the black race.
Okay.
And you find basically black women out there and black men out there. Since she was talking about, I think the previous caller, I don't remember her name, she was talking about black women who go with a white man and vice versa, or whatever, really. And basically that's really because they don't have faith, they don't feel they're going anywhere, and they feel that the black man basically is useless, yeah? And he got nothing to offer because this society is based on how much money you're bringing in. They ain't really judging the black man on what he is spiritually or mentally. They're just thinking, this guy, he's not bringing in 200, 300, 400 pounds, he ain't got the car, he ain't got this, that, and the other. Therefore, judge him harshly. You find a lot of black women now doing that.
Yeah, Bridget, I hear that, but you see, what I think the point I'm trying to get to you, did you hear a caller earlier on say, okay, when she was a child, someone called her an African, and she was highly offended. But she said if someone called her that now, she will be proud and hold up her head high.
Yeah.
Now, that is the point I'm trying to make. At a stage in her life, she was ashamed of herself.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
She has come out of that now.
Yeah.
And she's proud of herself.
Well,
now, there are people in our nation who are still at that stage of being ashamed.
Yeah.
Well,
all due respect to her, she came out of that, but there's many who do not come out of that, many who have never come out of that.
That's right.
There's many who don't even want to come out of that. They enjoy living in the society. They enjoy living around the white man. They enjoy taking what my man's got to offer.
Okay.
They enjoy putting down their people.
Okay, now, all right, now,
what I'm saying is that, going back to Michelle's point, you have to really make a distinction because there's going to always be people within the black community who are not going to be for black people or want to attack black people. And you find that specifically, there's this, like the brother said earlier, he was talking about basically these black women have taken this sense of mentality, basically, we don't need no black man, we don't need that. Basically, if they don't need a black man, what man do they need then?
Okay, Bridget, I hear you.
What do they need?
I hear you, but I don't know whether it's worth something, whether it's worth taking on board. I think we're just at a stage where we just got to get on and do what we're doing, you know.
I don't think it's taking on board, but for us to move forward, we have to see what the situation is and how can we move forward. Like you do. I don't want to harp on about this, right? But you do find right that if you want to move forward, you have to call a spade, so to speak, or whatever it is. Straight about the situation, yeah.
Okay, Bridget.
1 second, sorry. Let me just finish my point here. I'm saying that if you want to speak about black women and women, like the book said, really, we have to start making distinctions. You can't just put all women in the same bag and say, this is all women. You've got to make a distinction between black women who want to work with the black king and black women who do not want to work with the black king.
Okay.
Any respect to Genesis, man.
One love, Bridget.
Yeah.
And thanks for in. Yes.
Yeah,
Keep
man.
it locked. Yeah, London town, boy, everything's just running right. Remember, this is the People's Talk Show. If there's anything else, any information you think needs to be put out on the airways and dealt with, we shall deal with it. We're going to take this call. Good afternoon. What's your name and from where are you calling, please?
Good afternoon. My name's Janet and I'm calling from Hackney. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I just want to say that I'm upset by a lot of the men who have called in so far. A lot of them are still blaming the black women for things that have really gone on in their lives. Instead of coming together and just like sitting down and talking, they're quick to raise their hand. And I can't agree with a lot of what the men are saying, that it's down to black women why they are like this.
Okay,
I can't agree with it at all.
Sis, all right. Let me put a couple of points to you. Number one, all right. You heard someone phone up earlier on and say, behind white women, black women are most able, or they will be the ones that are going to be more successful, okay, in terms of economics, in terms of business, in terms of going out there and getting jobs, in terms of getting houses, in terms of getting mortgages, etc., etc. Number two, there's a whole heap of our men in jail, all right, because their woman, for whatever reason, decided they didn't want them around. They was hindering them, they was slowing them down, they was a burden on their back, right? Concocted a situation, bam, men's ended up in jail. Number three, the law as it stands, all right, in many aspects when it comes to the relationship between men and women, leans highly, we have found, many black men have found, highly on the side of black women, okay? Number four, we know this boy named Willie Lynch has set it up that the sexes in the nation will fight against each other. It seems as though the black woman is fighting more against her man than the man is against the woman. Now, I know that what you're saying is about a man beating up their woman, but we're talking about the spiritual and the mental fight. Black women have reached a situation, reached a position, especially here in England, where a few of them, quite a few, have no regard for the black man, actually look down on the black man and actually gearing even their children away from black.
I totally disagree with that.
Really?
A lot of the women who are...
So you don't think none of that's going on, sis?
I don't think what? None of that is going on.
None of those 4 or 5...
Yeah, on a small degree, I do think it is going on, but
I agree with
like we zoom in on the small minority that is doing it, and we're exploding it. We're ignoring all the positive black women that are out there. A lot of black women, who are actually going out there working, blah, blah, blah. They're doing it not for themselves. They're doing it for maybe their husbands, their children, their fathers. They're not doing it for themselves. Yes. And a lot of these black men, they're not strong enough to recognize a positive black woman. They see a black woman who is very positive as a put down. Like we're forgetting our own. We're not forgetting our own. We're doing it for everybody. We're not doing it for ourselves. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you, Sister In, right? What I would like to, first of all, I'd like to really thank you for that contribution, right? Because the way I see it is that at the end of the day, you can only do so much as a woman.
Yeah,
right?
They can't continue to blame us. We are always getting the blame, and I can't understand it.
Well, as far I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not just a one-to-one thing.
My mum, she had 5 of us, okay? And she had to work. There was no ifs or buts. She had to work. She didn't have a man supporting her, okay? She didn't, say, okay, I'm just going to work just to make money. And it wasn't about money. It was about a positive role model. Yes. My father wasn't doing it.
Right.
He was gambling. He was playing on his sound system. Those were what he was doing. My mum saw further than that.
Yeah. And the thing is, we don't get no appreciation for that.
None at all.
When I say we don't get enough appreciation for that. I'm getting a look here from Commissioner, so I'm just taking my time here, right? What I'm trying to say is the way I see it, right, is that I know that the majority of sisters that I move with have always supported their men, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, what is wrong with constructive criticism? If there's things that they're not doing right, and we know they can do better than what they're doing, right? And if you put it to your man, your brother, your son, whoever, a male in your vicinity, right? And what they do then is dismiss it. You put it to them again, you set the tone, you try and keep putting the same thing over and over and over and over again. And they still dismiss it. And like you and a sister earlier said, it's due to their own egos. They can't acknowledge that you can actually see something clearer than them.
Exactly.
Right? If you or I couldn't deal with constructive criticism, how do we improve?
That's right.
I'm just going to pass over to Sister Imani now.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, Sister Imani.
Yeah, I was going to say, on the point about taking constructive criticism, maybe...
Well, to me, constructive criticism isn't by hitting your woman.
Yeah,
that is not. I heard, I'm not sure if it was the brother in the studio, said that there's a lot of women out there who enjoy a good slap. That's negative and ignorant thinking.
Yeah.
That is, I totally disagree with that. If a woman has been brought up in a household where all she has experienced is her father hitting her mother, that doesn't mean she's going to grow up and expect that. What that woman is looking for is love. That is all she is looking for. But some brothers, they can't give love. They can't give love. Some brothers, they really can't give love. And they blame a lot of the women for their own actions. And I was astonished by what the had said.
Yeah, and I'd also like to say as well on the point about this sort of like resentment that the brother was speaking about, the fact that in his eyes, black women, or according to this survey, black women are progressing more than the black man.
Yeah.
I always say that men and women who actually say that and actually believe that should actually look at the wider picture. Society is actually set up for that.
Right.
Society are letting us go through at the expense of our men. That is why our men are in jail. That is why our men are being put down on that level.
Yeah.
And maybe some sisters, when they are in that position, are not aware of it, and they use that as a way of lording over. But I would say it would only be some. I would say the majority of us actually realise the situation and try to support our men to the best of our abilities, because it's not just like we expect them to have only for money or whatever, you know what I mean? Support is support in whichever shape or form you find it, you know what I mean? And you find ways of asking for it.
Yeah.
You know?
You do find some black men who are in prison because of domestic violence. But a lot of the black men who are in prison, they're not there because of the black woman. They're there because of their own ego. They want this, they want that, and they want it now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want it right now. So, a black woman bringing up a boy child. I've got 2 boys of my own, and I try to bring them up as positive as I can. But I can only do so much.
Yeah.
Their father has to meet me halfway. If a woman is lashing out on her boy child, it's frustration. It's, you can't get through. And the reason you can't get through is because you're a woman trying to deal with a boy.
Yeah.
You need a man to deal with a boy.
Yeah, it's different. It is different, and it's also something to do with Commissioner Zinnia railing up a bit. But I was going to say that it's got something to do with communication as well. I think the way how I don't know if you notice it, but it seems like what a woman will say to a man, what the man hears, is not what the woman thought he heard.
Right. He's hearing you, but he's not listening.
Yeah, and I think that has something to do as well with the fact of the way we are in the situation, the fact that we're all talking to each other and no one can understand, therefore.
Yeah, totally agree.
Well, anyway, thank you for your sister.
Right, thanks very much for the show. It's very, very educational, and I've got my boys listening to it right now. Okay, then.
Okay,
thank you.
Then.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Well, watch, you see the People Talk show. Frisco Kid love that show. The worst is a Black Power show. Black Power show. Black Power show.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Genesis. Who are you? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, it's Trevor here from Walworth.
Hello, Trevor.
Hello. Can I speak?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, hello. I'd like to make 3 main points. That it seems that most of the ladies that's been ringing today have been stereotyping all black men as being lazy and not economically active and don't want to work. But I know from my own example, many people that I know, they work, they take part in their children's education, help them with homework, and and play a positive role in their bringing of the children. That's the first point. The second point was that I think people were saying that black women are loud and, behave in a bad way. But then again, you have to look at the various if you look at the various ethnic groups, say for example,
Sorry, what was that point you was making? Because I don't actually have any recollection of...
What, the second point?
Yeah.
Now, the second point I'm saying is, some people were saying on the station today, I think some of the men, that black women have a vicious tongue and behave in a loud and, vulgar way. But I'm saying, it's not again, it's a stereotype.
Yeah, Bridging. It was me that was saying it, Commissioner.
Yeah, what I'm saying is...
Hold on. I'll just explain to you what I said so that you get it right.
Can I finish?
Yeah, but you've...
Let me just make this point.
You've described it wrong, Bridging. That's the only reason why I've come in, because the way it's coming over, you've described it slightly wrong. Now, what I was saying is that there is an argument that the black-on-black violence takes on another level when it's the woman now with her mind and her tongue that uses it against the man, okay?
What I was just trying to say is, if you look, say, for example, at Asian women or African women, they behave in a quite, generally speaking, a quite respectful way. Whereas a lot of black British women who were born here, grown up here, they've been westernized, and they behave badly towards the men. So if you look at the various ethnic groups amongst the non-whites, it's only some of them that behave that way. Whereas I think the Asian women, the African women, they don't behave like that. They behave in a respectful way, although they still stick up for their rights. But they don't tongue lash and behave in a vulgar way.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Can I just come back to your second point there? Because what you actually started off by saying that something was stereotyping black men, blah, 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 whatever.
That's the first point.
And I think you actually got that fact wrong. It wasn't that the women were actually saying that, but I think it's what I was saying before about communication, what we as women say is, I don't know what it is about the way it comes across, but for some reason, some men don't seem to pick it up the way it was said and they've interpreted it, yeah?
How do you mean it?
Well, we never said that all black men are lazy and blah, 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 you know what I mean?
Okay, you said some, but you could also have mentioned the positive side as well.
Yes, they did mention the positive side, as far as I was aware. But going back to your second topic now about ethnic women are more, well, not
no,
women.
So among
women
there are some, I said the African women and Asian women behave differently from many black British women. Who seem to be brainwashed by Western...
No. Sorry. I'd just like to come on this and then...
Okay, fine.
I would like to disagree with you on that point because I have actually witnessed, and I do know of women who are Vietnamese and who are African, yeah? It's not the fact that they actually disrespect them, they say they come across as being plant or whatever in public, because African women, as far as I know, are some of the strongest women I've ever seen and I've heard, yeah?
I agree.
And when they're in their home environment as well, they may not lash out too tough in public, but when they're home, they will give the man as good as they've got. And the same goes for the Vietnamese women. In fact, I would say it goes the same, whatever race, it goes right across the border. And the fact that you're assuming that women are so weak as to be brainwashed into going along with some stereotypical attitude, which you yourself is trying to disclaim. Yeah, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's just an observation. You are right. It is true, like many African and Asian women don't lash and behave that way in public and put the men down in public. So you've admitted that point.
I would say all women of all races have done that. I'm not saying that, no. Some women of all the races, not all the women. Some women of all the races have done that. Some women of all the races have done that. So that's
okay, thank you very much for... Thank you very much for allowing me to speak anyway.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, Bridget. Hey, sorry, caller. Hold on a second. All right, we'll take the call so it's not ringing. But caller, hold on 1 second, please. Hold on 1 second, caller. Bridget, I just wanted to say, on that point that you had there, all right, on that last point, the reason why, all right, it is that African women and Asian women don't behave in that manner then, is because our women now, and I'm talking about us as West Indians or British or whatever we want to be labelled by anyone, our women are more liberated because they've been through a lot more. Now, I'm not taking anything away from anyone else, but it was stated earlier on by one caller that we here have two experiences from both sides, and that is why you'll find that what you might call Caribbean or black English women, okay, may appear to be much stronger in their attitude and their approach in everything because of the experience. Good afternoon, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from, please? Yes, Bridget.
Yeah, it's Eugene from... Hello?
Yeah, Bridget. Brother Eugene?
Yeah.
Go true. What you like to say?
Yeah, I like to say, really and truly, there's no problem in black women. There's really no problem in black men. It's the society itself.
For real?
You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Differently, it's like, it's a never-ending circle that's moving down in a spiral.
You understand what I'm saying? What black man do to black woman is what black woman is responding on.
Yes.
And what black woman is doing to black man is what the black man is responding to. You understand what I'm saying?
So where's the solution?
The solution is that we have to keep the faith within each other, keep the faith with our black woman, not say, yeah, all right, they're not saying nothing, so I'm moving on to a different color. And same vice versa to the women. The thing is, first thing first is to keep the faith between the two and keep trying. You understand what to say? Women to find that right black man, and men to find that right black woman.
Yes.
Yeah? And keep it like that. If you don't do that, then it's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. Like, for instance, me, I mean, at a period of time, I was treating some black women rough, and that's because of my last relationship.
Yes.
You understand?
With a black woman?
With a black woman.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you check that black woman now, she'll tell you that she carried on that way because I had the last black man
treated her.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to, it's a balance.
For real.
And if you don't get that balance right, you can't stand up and blame any sex for anything.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? It's what we go through.
Yes,
what we've
Bridget.
been through. No other nation has been through that, so how can you compare?
Enough respect for that call there, Bridget. And you just put a complete balance on the whole show. Seen? One love.
Yeah.
Yeah, London Town. Did you hear what Brother Eugene had to say? At the end of the day, it's all a part of the bigger plan, seen to put us against our one another. We're all one. We're all one. We have the two sexes, but if we work together, then nothing can stand in our way. If we pull against our one another, we're in worries.
Yeah, good afternoon, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good afternoon, sir. LG from Broccoli.
Okay, go through, brother.
No, Black Awareness Day.
Okay.
Well, I was there for the first session.
On education?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First session on education. No, on the second session, after intermission, we went walkabout. When the second session started, I went back in. When I went to the door, there was some nicely dressed young men at the door.
Okay, the brothers from the nation.
Right. One of them spoke to me and said to me, I must stand over the corner. I said, okay. When I went into the corner, another one came to me and said, they got to search me.
Okay.
So I said, search me? What for? Well, it's the rule or is the regulation according to him. I said to him, look, young man, you know that people of my age group doesn't involve with drugs or caring about weapons.
Okay, just to touch on that point, brother, from what I got to understand about the searching itself, did he give you any reason why he had to search you?
No, he just got to search me because it's the regulation, it's the rule.
Right. Apparently,
that's what he said to me.
Yeah, apparently from what I got to understand of the situation itself was that because they had one of their speakers coming down, it's policy for them to search people, which I was quite surprised when I heard at the time as well.
Yeah, exactly. But you see, what I'm saying, when I said to him that I was in the first session, and where was he?
That's right.
He turned to me and said to me he was there. Okay. And I know he was lying. Because when the first session finished, they walked in and they about give me the third leaflet that they issued.
Okay, bro. Yeah, okay, brother. I don't want to rush you, but we like to minimize the calls. I just want you to give me an overall point of what you're saying.
Okay, I'll give you. I think I was humiliated. I think I was shamed. I think everything that is bad. Because if this thing is our thing and we cannot trust with one another, who can we trust? Yeah,
I totally agree with that. At the end of the day, there should be some form of apology, as far as I was concerned, by the brothers from the nation to, actually explain why, we can see what they're saying, but, when you talk about the older generation, people we're supposed to be respecting and looking up to and being treated,
Exactly.
Hold on 1 second there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Papa.
Yes, sir.
Good evening and thanks very much for phoning.
That's right.
And bringing up that issue. Okay, now, this is what happened. I'm going to explain on the day. The nation was supposed to be there a lot earlier than they actually turned up to do the security. Okay? When they did turn up, they stated to us that their speaker wouldn't come in unless everyone was searched. We said to them in the beginning, well, no, that's total rubbish. Everyone's been here from since morning. It's you lot's fault for not being here on time.
Exactly.
How can that run? So they was very adamant that their speaker wouldn't speak unless everyone in the building was searched. Now, as an organization, from Genesis' point of view, because it was just about a black unity day, and we was trying to bring together all factions of the black community, we took the decision. Now, I'm going to say, this is Commissioner now, I'm going to say even to a high degree, I took a lot of the decision on board myself to let the nation go ahead because we wanted to hear what the speaker or their representatives had to say to the black community. Now, I know many people was upset about being searched for the second half of the day.
It was not allowed.
Many people, brethren. Okay? I personally, I came up at the front when the second session started and apologized to everyone and explained the reason why the search did go ahead. Now, I think there's a couple of things in you raising this that the nation have to take on board. Number one, many people turned away and did not come back inside because the nation said that they wanted to search.
Exactly,
So,
that's because I didn't get to go in.
There was a lot of people that was offended by it.
I was.
You know, in our community. You know, so this is something that it has to be taken on board by the nation. But, you know, today, even though we have touched slightly on Black Awareness Day, we are going to come with a show with all of the presenters that were heavily involved in it, including the nation, in the studio, and then will be like an excellent format, again, for someone like you to phone in and to express to the nation personally why you was offended at their actions.
Exactly.
But, you know, one love, and I'm so glad that someone phoned in and raised that issue there.
Okay.
All right, Bridget?
Well, just one moment. I tell you something.
Yes.
We have got our meeting, and we cannot enter without being searched.
Yes.
I've spoken to driver a few times.
Yes.
And I cannot get in without being searched. I don't think I'll follow the meeting anymore. I'll follow the station anymore.
So, yes.
Listen, first, I could have been to the Alexander Palace with my family.
Yes.
And I choose to forget that and come to this meeting. This is more important to me.
Yes.
And to be treated this way, it was terrible.
Okay, and at the same time, as I said to you, this is Commissioner, all right? And I know you was, and many people was, for everyone out there, for all of you that was offended by that search, I personally, I'm going to take it on board and apologize, all right?
Okay, thank you.
And say that the next one that we do, we hope that we will not have any problems like that at all.
Okay, then.
All right?
Thanks very much, and keep up the good work.
All right, then, brother. Enough respect for that scene.
Bye-bye, then, sir.
All right, then, peace.
Okay, ta-da.
Okay, we're going to take this next call. Good afternoon, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Greetings, my brothers.
Greetings.
Greetings. It's Mohammed Solomon there from Peckham. I'm going to be very brief. 10 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The first point is concerning the Black Awareness Day.
Yeah.
Concerning the... I don't know if you remember, but I got on the microphone to speak during the latter half of the event.
Yeah.
I went up, there was a bit of a response from some of the people in the audience. When I came off the microphone, I was supposed to speak later on.
Okay.
The commissioner came up to me and said to me, "Has Minister Hillary got a beef with you, Mohammed?" And I goes, "Why did you say that, brother?" He said, "Because he doesn't want to speak now because you was on the microphone." And he's walking off. Now, this is what Commissioner told me.
Yeah, Bridget, this is Commissioner, okay? Now,
Commissioner, okay, man, brother. Sorry, I thought it was driver.
No, yeah, you was, but driver just handed it to me. Now,
Okay,
what I
brother.
said to you, all right, I came to you and I said, there seems to be some friction between you and
Yes,
the nation.
that's
yeah?
right.
And the nation was offended at you speaking.
What
okay?
is my point? Now, I've been trying to get hold of Minister Hillary to explain to me why he spoke to you about this issue, and he's yet to come back to me.
No, Minister
I'm
Hillary,
saying
hold
on
on.
the air.
Bridget, hold on. Minister Hillary has not spoken to me about this subject. I'm telling you, when I approach you, it is what I observed from what went on.
Right,
okay. Now,
okay.
Number one, okay, and as I said, I haven't spoken to Minister Hillary, but number one, as you know, it was partially an open format, okay? Now, people were allowed to come up and air their views as well. You were one of the people that did.
Yes.
All right? Now, from my observation, okay, part of what you said was excellent. I agreed with it totally. But it's like it became partly personal, and there was certain points that was dropped that was on a personal platform. Now, one of the things I wanted to avoid was bringing in any personal arguments for whatever reason or personal disagreements between whoever, all right, onto the main arena, onto the main platform, because that's not what the day was about. The day was about unifying.
Yeah, no problem on that. No problem.
Yes?
No problem at all. No problem, Benjamin.
Okay, Benjamin.
Okay, then that's sorted. No problem, because I must have picked up. There's no problem at all. No opposite to Allah. The second point is, where is the brother's faith if we have to search up our own people? Malcolm X said, if we cannot trust and love our own people and you don't feel safe with them, who will you feel safe with?
Malcolm X was killed by his own people, Bridget. Malcolm X was in a meeting addressing his own people, and his own people shot him.
I am not saying that, but my point is this, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't search your own family when you come in your house, when you see your cousins.
For real.
So what I'm saying is that if them man search their cousins and their mother every time they see them, I respect them, and I'm not going to argue with them. But every black woman out there is your potential mother, and every elder out there, like the brother that phoned in, is your potential elder as well.
Yes.
So we must show enough respect. So my point is, you have faith in God, right?
Yes.
And you want, but you also, you know what I'm saying, you also at the same time are intelligent.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We should put, as the sister said, more faith. And thirdly, lastly,
yes,
I still haven't had answers from black women and black sisters that satisfy me and people. We need solutions to go forward into the 21st century.
Okay.
I want to hear, if possible, quickly in the time available, can people just put the blame, because that's all history now.
Yes.
We can blame each other for the cows come home.
Okay.
What are the solutions that London town has?
All right. Well, we've got two sisters. We got two.
Clearing up that issue as well, and one love to all the brothers and sisters, yeah?
One love,
and all the
Bridget.
London town and Genesis crew.
Okay. We've got two sisters in here, and I'm going to hand over to them and see if they now would like to, you know, give you
constructive solutions.
Yes.
So that I, as a black man, and she, as a black woman, can work together to build a nation and move forward and defend ourselves against the enemy and the Illuminati and them business and what we need to do.
Yes, Bridget.
Okay, then, bro.
One love.
Yeah?
One love.
The queens and the kings in there. Peace.
Okay.
Yo, I've got to say, enough respect to that last caller still. That's what we need to do. Start finding the solutions. You know, all right, we know what took place. We know how it took place. Start finding out some solutions now so we can move forward.
Hello, London Town, Genesis 91.6 FM, Sikoti on the line. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Moonlight and I'm on the move.
Hello, Moonlighting.
Okay, I'd like just to make a point about the Nation of Islam and the searching and stuff, yeah? As you know, I'm a presenter on the station. I was trying to get round the back on one occasion, and I was told, oh, you can't come through, you can't come through. I showed my badge, still told you can't come through.
Right.
I just like to say, I think, respect for the nation for doing security and stuff, yeah? But I think sometimes they take it a bit too far. If there's going to be to come to a stage where you've got to turn people away from the door because you're not searching them, old or young, then it's wrong. You know, a lot of people, as that guy said, gave up their time to come to the event. And for the Islam to be stopping people and searching people, you know, it sends people. I can't even envisage that anything would have gone on in there. If anything would have been fisticuffs if the argument and got heated. But who's coming to the Black Awareness Day with guns or knives? It's ridiculous. You know, they take it too far. I personally don't think they haven't got enough to do on an event like that. So they have to, you know, keep themselves busy by doing security and hassling their own.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I'd just like to apologise to all of London Town, just as Commissioner's done, because really and truthfully, if any searching was going to go on, it should have gone on initially when people first came in. And then at least it would have been... well, either way. But if it was going to go on any at all, it should have gone on initially when people first came in.
That is right.
I'd just like to apologise to everyone because it was a major hiccup, but I can assure you it will not occur again.
No, I just like to say thank you, you know, to all the people that came to the Black Awareness Day. You know, it was really good and pleasing to see so many brothers and so many different types of sisters and brothers all getting together. Even those that weren't in, sitting down listening, you know, they were meeting friends outside and having a nice time, you know. So I'd say thank you to every single person that came. And all those that didn't come, you know, they don't know what they missed.
All right, Moonlight.
All right, then.
Yeah, man.
Yeah?
Peace.
All right, then.
Okay, London Town, in the last few minutes, 0958 504 And, you know, like the rest of the sisters and the brothers have said, you know, we've definitely got to apologise for, because, you know, I was surprised. I was definitely surprised, because that caller who called in, he came up to me and he said, driver, they won't let me back in this, they're going to search. And, you know, I was surprised, I didn't know what was going on. He said, well, if that's the case, he's going home. And we're going to take this call. Good afternoon, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good afternoon. My name is Delroy, calling from Edgware.
Okay, Delroy from Edgware.
Yeah, well, I visited the Black Awareness, you know, because I'm the type that doesn't really come to those sort of functions. So it was a first to me still. But about all of the searching, you know, it was getting really ridiculous, because with the man them was even trying to search little kids, little boys and things like that, 5 years old.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, I agree. You know, like I said, I mean, personally, I was surprised when I was told that searching was going on, because as far as I knew, that was nowhere on the agenda. You know, like a caller said before, if we've got to search people on such things like a Black Awareness Day, then, you know, there is no hope if we're going in that direction.
But also, I came down as well to put a face behind all of the voices, you know, the people that are calling and speak to all the while. And I was surprised. You know what I'm saying? I was surprised still.
In what way, blood?
Because all the brother there, huh?
In what way?
Yeah, because all the brother there,
Cool, Daddy Cooley?
Commissioner.
Commissioner.
No, not Cooley.
Commissioner.
It's Commissioner. London Town, for anybody that ain't met Commissioner. Commissioner is a roots man, you know. Yeah, man. I want to speak to Commissioner here still.
One love, Bridget.
Yeah, Commissioner, man.
Yeah, Bridget.
Believe me, I've been listening to you all the while. Believe me. Listen to you all the while. But when I hear you over the airwaves still, you sound, and you're very articulated, and even on topics you don't know nothing about. You sound like you're an authority on them. You know what I'm saying?
Bridging.
And you're a brother that I see out around all the time, but we never know that you was the commissioner. God,
Bridget.
no, we never know you was a commissioner. Man, you brush shoulders already, you know.
For real, Bridging. But
you
Bridging.
brush shoulders already.
Bridging, we see now that is like a that shows you now the quality of Genesis, right? Genesis,
Exactly,
when we say
that
we're the people's talk station.
They don't know what it is.
Yeah, when we say that we're the people's talk station, Bridging. Okay. All right, big up for that, Bridging.
Your brother has to all the while.
Yeah, man.
All the while.
Yeah, well, as I said to you, Bridging, you know? Genesis, the people's talk show, and it's about the people. And you see, us, people won't believe it, but we're not no big, affluent, high-influential, nothing.
Come down and see with just the little man in the street.
That's right.
Right? And if everybody just puts in their little contribution, it will all add up.
It makes a difference.
People feel have to be this and that. They don't have to be.
For real,
it's
Bridget.
just the little man on the street who are doing these things. You don't have to come with no big backing and big funds and university degree, PhD.
That's right, Bridget. That's
because
the truth.
you're a fine example of that.
Okay, Bridget.
Listen, and I want people to stop signing off and saying, keep up the good work. Stop accepting those acknowledgements. You should turn around and tell those people to put in their contribution.
Come and help, yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, if anything goes down, i.e. DTI and all them things, because all the stuff you're doing, you people are putting yourself out on a limb.
It's all illegal.
We want to do it collectively, not for people to keep ringing in and after they're done speak, oh, keep up the good work.
For real.
Stop saying that.
For real, Bridget. Okay, Bridget, and you know, that is such a positive note to end the show on.
All right then, Commissioner.
One love.
All right, so cool, yeah?
All right, Bridget.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah, London Town, boy, this is it, the People's Talk Show. We got the Senator B in the studio, and that's just it, London Town. It's the People's Talk Show, and Genesis is the People's Station. And we're all just people, we're just people off of the street, just like you, just like anyone else, okay? We're going to take our last call for the evening. Good afternoon, you're in tune to Genesis 91.6 FM. What's your name and from where are you calling, please?
Hi, my name's Dawn from Hackney.
Good afternoon, Sister Dawn.
Hi. Right, when you were advertising the Black Awareness Day, you were saying things like donations would be welcome.
Okay.
However, I didn't see anything where we could put these donations.
That's the truth. Now, Sister, all right. Now, for us now, as a committee that came together for the first time to do an event like this, there was a couple of hiccups. Now, one of our major, ultra major, shot in the foot, cut off own nose off her face, hiccup, was that we didn't actually collect any donations at all.
Right, because I was waiting for it, and I saying to my friend, and I could see one guy walking around with a cash box, and I'm just thinking, is this where they're going to collect the donation time? And I didn't see anything. There was nothing on the reception table, nothing that I could see.
Yes.
And as towards the day ended, I was thinking, are they going to ask us now? Because I'd have allotted some money for you see.
For real. Okay, but sis, I'll tell you what, all right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what now, and this goes out for everyone, because we have had quite some feedback on brothers and sisters that wanted to make donations, okay?
Right.
Now, number one, right at the end of the Black Awareness, and this is just how things turn out, there was a man that was a bit less for wear because of drink, okay?
Yeah.
But he came and he spoke, not the first man, but the second man. He came and he spoke, and he said that the Moonshot building has been offered to the black community for £40,000.
Right.
And that if we can find this money, we can get this building for ourselves, okay? Because it belongs to us. We have a long history with it. That was that, and it just so happened that he came right at the end when people was getting ready to go. Now, what we want to do is get some more information, perhaps talk to the management committee of Moonshot and the council, and see what can be done about that, and come back and give you all some feedback about what is really going on regarding that. Now, secondly, the Black Awareness Day, we hope and we would love, again, with response from you all, to make it a continuous event, to have it on maybe twice, 3, 4 times a year, whatever you all suggest.
Right.
Now, for anyone that did want to make a donation, all I can say is when...
And them say when you're drunk, you always speak the truth, right? So, you young people, you must listen to that show, what they call the spiritual, the mental, the regeneration show with Briggy, right? Because them youth, the deal will pay truth and right? And nowadays, when you're speaking the truth, right? You cannot be a little wimpy punk behind closed doors, right? You must be bold, not butch. So listen, think, and learn.